Schaefer.
Says I take no joy in life.
I can see that.
Coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Why are you yelling at me?
Whatever, make me a bicycle clown.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer.
You might want to look away for this.
Mike Schaefer.
My boy's awake and smart.
This is Happer and Schaefer.
Good morning. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Happy December. We have reached December. I kicked off my December last night with my first real dive into non-Nebraska college basketball. Watched a good chunk of Duke and Ohio State. Ohio State pulling the upset in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. And, of course, naturally, I felt compelled to send out a tweet that said, I don't think there's really any way that Ohio State's going to win this game, because Duke had really kept them at arm's length for the entire game. And then all of a sudden in the last 4 minutes, really in the second half, Duke just kind of decided to go away. But that was a nice win for Ohio State last night. They got a nice little court storming, and that was a good way to kick off the isn't that the kind of unofficial start to the college basketball season? You know, we head into conference championship weekend that, college basketball starts to show up a little bit more on your TV. We have a little bit more good games. We're going to sprinkle in some conference games over the next couple weeks. Nebraska has their Big Ten ACC Challenge game tonight on both the men's and women's side, by the way. Both teams traveling to the great state of North Carolina. Nebraska men taking on North Carolina State in Raleigh, and the women headed to Wake Forest, which is actually located in Winston-Salem, even though there is a place near Raleigh called Wake Forest. So Nebraska and NC State tonight. We will talk a little bit about that as we go on throughout the show. Schaefer will be here shortly, so hang in. It won't just be me talking to myself again for 3 straight hours tonight. But basketball starting that stretch tonight that we've been kind of looking forward to, I think, for a little while. It's a good start to December. They go to NC State tonight and then back out on the road quickly again on Saturday to take Mike Woodson's Indiana Hoosiers on. Indiana had a double overtime game last night against Syracuse, 112-110. And then back home from Michigan on Tuesday, and then in Atlanta for Auburn next Saturday. So I think it's fair to throw the whole question out, and then that, K-State is after that. The stretch doesn't end there, but that's 8 days later. And then one more kind of bye game with Kennesaw State, and then a conference slate ahead for Nebraska basketball. But it's one of those stretches where you kind of ask, okay, what are we looking at here? Would it be good for Nebraska to get 2 wins, 1 win? Is it possible that they get 3 or 4? I don't necessarily see that as likely at this point. I think Nebraska is going to it's going to take a little bit of an adjustment on their part. And like I said, we'll get to this later in the show, but it's going to take a little bit of an adjustment on their part to adjust to the physicality that you're going to see at this level. Now, not that NC State is an overly physical team or anything like that. They actually have a pretty similar profile to Nebraska in the way they kind of want to go about their business. But just what I've seen from Nebraska so far, little, I don't know, soft. Kind of what I've seen. So you adjust to the bodies, and you might need some time to do that, but they won't have much leeway, and that begins tonight at North Carolina State. That game is at 6:15 tonight, which I appreciate. Great tip-off time, 6:15. But yeah, it was cool to watch. some of the big time players in college, but you got to look at Ohio State. I don't know that team is, going to be dominant by any stretch of the imagination, but they fought tooth and nail with Duke. They answered on punches quite a bit. Looks like they were kind of playing with a Band-Aid on for the majority of the game with Paolo Banchero. Man, he's good for Duke, and that'll be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft. Him and Chet Holmgren. I was talking about this yesterday. It's crazy that we had that Duke Gonzaga game already and it's passed and nobody really paid attention to it. I think it was late Saturday night, caught up in the whole mess of the football day on Saturday. They're going to find a better way we got to find a scheduling czar or something like that. Find a better way to do that. 9:30 on a weekend where there's college football. Come on. You played that game last night. It's huge. We had the number 1 and probably the number 1 and number 2 picks play each other in November in college basketball, and I don't know that anybody really watched it or noticed. And maybe the 2 teams that we'll see in the national championship game, the best 2 teams in the country right now, Duke and Gonzaga, Chet Holmgren and Paolo Banchero. It doesn't usually work out that way with the best 2 teams playing for a title, but I kind of hope it does this year. That could be a lot of fun with those 2 teams. Purdue has had a great start to their season. They look like potentially a Final Four, type of team, or at least they destroyed Florida State last night. So you're starting to get a little bit of a grasp of the college basketball world. We got a lot of things to go through today. Like I said, Schaefer will be here eventually. We will chat about Nebraska basketball. We'll talk about the college football playoff rankings that came out last night and what we are rooting for this weekend as far as results to what we might get for the playoff in a little less than a month here. We'll get an update on, and no better man to have in studio than Mike Schaefer. We'll get an update on Nebraska in the portal, what they're up to there, and then in recruiting as well. All Big Ten teams came out yesterday. Nebraska had a running back enter the transfer portal yesterday, and Marvin Scott III. Trev Alberts talked on the radio about some interesting topics. Man, do I love the phone calls that come in on that show. They are amazing. There was a guy that called in about Band Day. He was like, hey, back in the 30s, Trev, they had this thing called Band Day where they would get all the local high school marching bands together and they would, fill up the stadium. And it was great. Why don't we do that again? And Trev's like, oh, great idea. But, not that the premise of filling up the stadium isn't an issue for Nebraska today, but that there may be better ways to do it. And the fact of the matter is it's a little bit outdated, right? I don't know that marching bands are necessarily the draw for or the thing that young people are doing, the thing that gets them engaged in the football game. Maybe it was a bit of a method, a vehicle to the football game back in the day, but I don't know if that's quite as relevant today. That was hilarious. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff that Trev got into. I do want to hear from you guys on the text line, on the phones today, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Sartor Heyman text line. Happer's Meme Guy says, batten down the hatches for Purdue basketball to be ranked number 1 for the first time in school history. Hell yeah. And that's a team that often gets like Purdue basketball. You think of Purdue basketball. It's a team that probably isn't terribly talented. They've developed quite well over the last several years. They've definitely developed big men, but you think of Matt Painter and the way he coaches, there's a lot of direction. It's a lot of, we're going to execute them to death in the half court and we're just going to kind of be Purdue. Like there's a limit there. There's a ceiling there. There's usually been a cap on the athleticism and stuff like that. I don't know. They might have the best of both worlds this year. I didn't know what to think of Zach Edey when I first saw him. I was like, well, this guy's 7'1", but I don't really know what he's going to end up being in his college basketball career. Can he move? Can he do anything? And the answer is yes. Now, of course. And there's a couple other, pros, maybe a first rounder on that team. We are ready to go for Purdue basketball to be the number one team for the first time in school history. Duke losing last night. Hey, look, it's Schaefer. Yes, come on in. You are the other host of this show. You may join. But why don't we take a break and get him all set up here? All right, Schaefer's here. He has tissues, Halls, and a bottle of water. So it should be a good day. Schaefer's grinding through it. We'll come right back. More up next on Happer and Schaefer.
Follow Connor and Mike on Twitter @ConnorHapper, @Mike J. Schaefer. You're listening to Happer and Schaefer.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Coppell Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Coppell, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at CoppellCars.com.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Chris Plank of Sooners Radio Network here with us. Were you shocked that he left?
Yeah, I got a phone call that, hey, coaches don't have to be in for a while, so we're pushing everything back. 10 minutes later, he's off to U.S. So that's how blindsided everyone was. The host of their coaches show was sitting on the set waiting for Lincoln to show up to tape the coaches show, and he never did. So everybody was blindsided by this.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthnE.com.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Venue at Home is your answer for locally made, freshly prepared meals delivered to your door every week. Our meals come ready to heat and eat. With sizes for 2 people or 4, Venue at Home is perfect for busy people who want a quick, easy, and delicious meal option to share with your roommates or feed the whole family. Add on from our wide selection of appetizers, sides, desserts, alcohol, and more. Receive a discount on your meals by subscribing to get Venue at Home delivered every week. Visit venueathome.net to order today. That's venueathome.net.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Connor Happer. Mike Schaefer.
You know what goes great with major sports moments and or Creighton meltdowns? Coors.
This is Happer and Schaefer.
back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Happer, it's called Happer and Schaefer because it's Connor Happer and Mike Schaefer. And you haven't heard much of Mike Schaefer recently, but here he is. Hello, Mike.
I'm back. This is the longest radio hiatus I've had
in a
since
while.
I got married.
In a while.
I guess I did do the Friday pregame show, but otherwise it would have went Thursday, Friday, at least in terms of this show. I've missed 4 straight days. So
wow.
Very unusual. I'm excited to be back. I apologize if I cut off my train of thought and then you hear like a seal barking in the background because that's kind of what I sound like. I promise you it's better today than it was yesterday or Monday.
I have found if you just sit, like, especially when it's a thing like what you have and you're, like there's some there, you need to have some movement, right?
Yeah.
If you talk a little bit, even though you don't want to talk and you don't want to move, if you kind of go about your business as normal, that's when it will really start improving. Seriously.
Well,
that's not a fake like Connor Happer, welcome to the medical, doctor thing, but that's what I've found.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna hit at some point. Like at some point, there's gonna be
it'll surprise you,
a coughing fit. I just hope I can do it when I'm not the one talking.
Perfect.
That would be better. I'll just throw myself out of the room.
It's okay. We
have a coughing room set up.
Well,
there?
we have a button where you could press it. So give it a whirl right now and see what we can hear. I have your mic off.
I mean, I don't have a cough ready to go.
He doesn't have a cough ready.
I can't cough. Well, I probably could cough on command, but I don't want to try.
Okay, good. Welcome.
What have
back.
I missed? What's been going on?
Well, Nebraska played the same football game that they always do. So
that's true.
That was kind of the same. I'm curious to where your head's at as far as recruiting and things in the portal is concerned.
The portal is wild.
Yeah, the portal outside of Nebraska is wild. Even though a running back entered it yesterday.
Also an outside linebacker from Georgia. A walk-on, but
who did? Who was that?
Sam Sheriff. I got the name
Sam
somewhere.
We never knew ye.
Yeah,
we hardly knew
Sam Shirtliff.
Yes, of course.
Was a walk-on linebacker from Watsonville, Georgia. 6'3", 220-pound redshirt freshman. He looks like somebody. I can't think of who it is.
Oh no. Are you trying to
No,
say
it's not. I'm not saying you. I don't think he looks like you.
Well, he has red hair. People always do that.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's someone famous. Sorry. No.
Okay. I thought you were like, I don't know what this guy looks like.
I don't really do the whole, like, just because you're portly white with a beard, you look like
Thank
us
you.
thing.
Thank you.
So
I did text you some of my trepidations about Nebraska in the Nebraska's activity in the transfer portal.
Can I offer some rebuttal on air to it?
I would love to hear it. Yes.
Just because those are the only guys that have publicly announced that they have Nebraska offers does not mean that they're the only ones that have portal offers.
But if they're not announcing that they have portal offers, are they interested in Nebraska?
Not everybody is announcing portal offers.
Good. That's a good thing.
I will say less so with the Abilene Christian defensive back. I do think that the Hunter, I can't even pronounce his last name. Norzad, I think, something like that. That's as close as I can probably get. The Cornell offensive lineman, like Kenneth Walker was the big one for Michigan State, but I would argue that of all their 20-some people they brought in, other than Kenneth Walker, who legitimately was a fringe Heisman guy, and really, if they had a little bit better finish to the year, it would have finished a little bit better. Their next biggest addition was a tackle they got from Arkansas State. And that guy ended up with some legitimate Power 5 offers. Norzad has picked up a few more as we've gone along. Purdue, Syracuse yesterday. We'll see kind of where it ends up. But I do think like offensive linemen are really pretty much offensive linemen and defensive linemen are really hard to get out of the portal because I think everybody wants them all the time.
Well, Nebraska's looking.
Yeah. And so, whether it's this kid or somebody else, even if it's not someone that just blows you away, and there was if you follow 24/7 Sports Portal, or Rivals has one, or the Athletic,
or the Rico Portal correspondent.
Yeah, Rico was losing his mind about Oklahoma in some conversation that he was hearing.
Yeah, he went into a Twitter space and decided to listen to a bunch of people yelling about how Lincoln Riley's corrupt or something like that.
Okay. Twitter, I've never done a Twitter space.
He basically bing bonged for Oklahoma.
Speaking of bing bong, I watched the end of Nets Knicks last night.
Really?
Yeah.
It's very early for you to watch NBA.
The Weekday Wade had the NBA on, and I happened to be downstairs. And
Wow.
It was a close finish. So
you didn't watch Ohio State Duke?
No, I watched none of that. I watched you react to it.
Yeah. I didn't think Ohio State was going to win.
I don't think a lot of people thought Ohio State was going to win.
Hello, Rico.
Hello. I watched
Portal correspondent.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
I watched the ending to Ohio State Duke. Very controversial foul / tip in that didn't count. And just looking at the way that Ohio State and Duke were playing, I was like, yeah, Duke's going to blow them out of the water in the second half.
Right.
And so I turned the game off, didn't pay attention. And then I woke up sometime at night and rolled over, touched my phone, and I see that Ohio State beat Duke. And I was like, okay.
I mean, I tweeted out that I thought Ohio State had no chance to win at the under 4 timeout. I was like, yeah, it ain't happening, man. They're just clearly not as good. And then Duke was like, let's not play the last 4 minutes. But
I watched Duke play.
That Banchero guy is so good.
He's
though.
so good.
Oh
so good.
Man,
I watched Duke play Gonzaga for that championship in Vegas, and like, I love watching Nebraska basketball.
Yeah, it's
but
different
watching
sport.
those two play, I'm just like, this is different.
Different sport.
Well, the guy you just mentioned is like now thought
Number
to
one
be
pick.
the number one pick,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Paolo
him
Banchero.
It's him and Holmgren. Yeah.
Chet. Our boy Chet.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not Chet Stedman.
What do you think of EJ Liddell?
Liddell's good.
Like he's one of those guys that I don't think I will ever see at Nebraska, if that makes sense. Like he's just someone that like that good now as a rim protector, that good as an overall player. Like it just feels like a foreign concept to me that Nebraska could have a big that is that versatile, that good.
He
all the way
ultimately had the shot last night that kind of sealed it. I think Ohio State was up 1, and he had like a mid-range 2 that he was off balance on. He just drilled it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's not like he's some physical specimen.
No.
He's 6'7", 240.
I know.
But it's just if you think about like Nebraska basketball, the only real players of substance besides like Alex March, who was good, but he wasn't in this category,
Limited,
have largely just been like swingmen that shoot. Like I can't even think of the last time like they've had like
scoring wings.
Yeah, like they've had a forward, and I'm not even talking like just center, because Alex March, again, fine, he was good, but he wasn't on this level. Like I think you'd have to go back to like Vincent Hamilton, and I can barely remember him. Like I remember him being
about all the
pretty
guys.
good.
Think about all the guys that Purdue has had over the years.
Well, yeah, like even a Caleb Swanigan feels like it's just something Nebraska will never.
It was
have.
awesome. Travion Williams, the 2 mega guys, and Harms, and now Edey. They're like 100 feet tall combined.
I was explaining to someone yesterday that, and I'm looking forward to watching Nebraska NC State tonight, but I have this weird, it's not even jealousy anymore. It's just sort of sadness if I watch college basketball, because if I just sit and think about how many games and how many teams and how many performances I've watched across 34 years, and, let's just say the last 20, and what I've watched relative to what the general college basketball fan has watched, it suddenly becomes a really dark hole.
Yeah, that's disappointing. I never thought of it that way.
You think more and more, and then you're just digging the hole deeper, and then you just feel worse about it. So I'm not trying to just completely kill the buzz for Nebraska NC State tonight, but I find myself less enthused to watch college basketball until March Madness, because it just becomes just like, man, what am I going to
You have to view it through a different prism. It's almost like we haven't experienced college basketball.
Well, and again, I don't want to take, because these players mean a lot to like my experience of being able to watch them, but like James Palmer and Turan Petaway are essentially the best that I've seen. Like Isaiah Roby is the best that's now in the NBA, But as good as Roby was, I don't know that he ever reached levels of carrying a team or being as good as Palmer or
He never knew how good he was.
He never realized it.
yeah. Or Petaway. So it's just like and then think about how often you've heard the following refrain. Yeah, it feels like the last really big moment was no sit Sunday.
That's right.
That was 2014.
Yes, it was a lot of years ago.
It's going to be 8 years in March. 8 years of essentially nothing other than blowing out Creighton in December of 2018.
Yeah, and that and the no sit Sunday thing. Wow, this is dark. The no sit Sunday
Don't do
thing.
it.
It didn't really amount to anything. It
Well,
amounted to Tim Miles
they gave him a
kicked out of
tournament
the
appearance,
NCAA
but
tournament.
I mean, it's just like I'm telling you, if you let yourself go into that hole, which now I'm doing for everyone on air,
You're welcome, by the way.
it was just brutal. And suddenly you're suffocating in the way that I am right now with the mucus. So
Well, that's why your boy watches Syracuse basketball. It's not much better, but at least I get ACC in there.
You watch them?
Yeah. I watched them struggle against Indiana.
Is it fun?
When they're actually playing good, yeah. Look, the 2-3 is actually really fun to watch. Like I like it.
I got a tweet for you from Dane Perry that I think you're going to find kind of funny. He randomly tweeted about Syracuse basketball.
I'm sitting here trying to break it down. They've got good athletes from every once in a while.
Oh yeah, they recruit. Yeah.
Buddy Boeheim, when he's hitting threes from like everywhere on the court, it's just gorgeous.
Here's his tweet from last night's game. Syracuse is its own team, and the offense runs through the coach's two sons. Horrid television. And it's like kind of hard to argue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not enjoyable.
I think it's pretty
you may watch the two least enjoyable teams in the in like major college basketball.
I like watching Syracuse play. Plus, when I watch Syracuse play, I get to watch Duke play sometimes in North Carolina, and
Well, Duke has been at times like aggressively unfun to watch, but they also, they always have really good players.
But you also got one guy that's like going to go top 5.
This year, that is not the case. They are legitimate fun this year, which is good for probably
in Coach K's last year.
In Coach K's last year.
I don't know. I mean, for me, as someone who really hasn't cared that much about Duke, like that Zion year was fun.
Yeah.
And it was like fun to watch because he was fun to watch.
Yep.
Otherwise, I find, and I think you're sort of getting at this, like Duke most years is sort of hard to watch because it's just kind of
Duke especially before they started recruiting like crazy.
Well, the year that Zubat,
they started taking the one and dones.
Yeah.
Recently, it's been pretty good,
right?
Usually, but before they started taking the one and dones, it's just like I can't watch this.
I'm trying to even think who was on their title team that beat Wisconsin, and I just remember like being just like these guys aren't like a lot of fun to watch. And then of course you have your Duke diehards like this is the purity of college.
This is amazing. I remember Coach K like a couple years before he started getting the one and dones. He's like, I'll never do that. That's not college basketball.
Coach K is the same guy who talks about how they get 2 stars when they haven't probably gotten a 2-star in 40 years.
Yeah, I don't know what Duke doesn't know what a 2-star is.
I don't particularly enjoy listening to Coach K act as an elder statesman of basketball. I get that he is, but he is so far removed from real college basketball in a lot of ways that it's hard to take a lot of what he says serious.
Honestly, I cannot wait for Jim Boeheim to retire so they can get a coach in there that doesn't run his own. I think Syracuse has so much potential.
You just said that you enjoy watching them.
I do, but it's also a time when you're just like, man, when this is done, it's going to be so much
also,
fun.
if Jim Boeheim moves on, how are they going to have good players anymore?
They're in New York.
Players are his kids now.
Maybe you'll hire Melo.
What do you think? Hakeem Works coming back through that door?
Maybe.
Jerry McNamara?
Yes. Jerry McNamara is going to be the next coach, so he'll be fine.
That'd be fun.
They should hire Melo.
Eric Devendorf?
If he retires or gets kicked out of the league again, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, what happens first? Carmelo Anthony retires or Jim Boeheim retires? Carmelo
Anthony retires.
For
yeah,
sure.
Probably.
Yeah, guaranteed.
It's an interesting prop bet.
The Duke starters on the 2015 national championship team that went against Wisconsin, which that was a fun team too. Nigel Hayes, Sam Decker, Frank Kaminsky, Bronson Koenig.
I remember that team really well.
Okay, Duke, Justice Winslow, Jill Okafor. Is it Tyrus Jones? Tyus Jones? Yeah, Tyus Jones. I remember him. He had a quick little cup of coffee in the NBA. He might still be there.
All 3 of those guys were first-round picks. None of them are good.
Quinn Cook. And their other guard was a guy named Matt Jones.
Did they have Zubat on that team, or am I just
I think you're imagining
combining that with other titles?
I think you're. Yeah,
I didn't see a Zubac. There was a Plumlee and a Grayson Allen.
Which Plumlee? Mason?
Marshall.
Marshall,
Yeah,
the worst of the three.
The youngest Plumlee, yes.
I think he joined the military.
Oh.
Didn't go to the NBA.
Well, thank you for your service, Marshall. Plumlee. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
those first three names you mentioned all were drafted in the first round. I think Jalil was like a top 3 pick, and none of them are good.
Yeah, I definitely combined the 2010 team with the 2014 team or whatever it was. that
15,
ended up winning
yeah.
it.
I didn't know Zubac went to Duke.
Brian Zubek.
Oh, Zubek.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
what?
had the- I had the name wrong.
Zubac. I was like, what?
I had the name
That
wrong,
guy's
I know.
foreign. That doesn't mean he didn't go to college, but like he's
I don't
not-
think he did.
He's not. I don't think he's.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of this team because it was like Plumlee, Shire, Singer, Zubek,
Yes, those were the aggressive.
and it was like they beat Gordon Hayward and
in the
Butler,
Butler,
and
yeah.
it's just like I really enjoyed the Butler run, but
When Plumlee was your best player, as outside of anybody, well, like when Plumlee's your best player, it's very boring.
yeah, was he their best player?
Yes,
I would have guessed Singler was maybe.
Kyle
Singler.
Kyle Singler.
I don't think he was.
Hey, they announced that
He had a longer than expected NBA career, by the way.
the heir to the Coach K throne is John Shire, right? They announced that.
Is he on the staff currently?
I think so.
Then yes.
I think they're just going to turn it over to him.
Yeah, it's just whoever. It was just some.
Talk about
person on the
another
staff.
aggressively annoying Duke guy.
Yeah,
John Shire. It's perfect.
He does really fit perfectly there.
Yep, he'll be a Duke guy forever. Okay, great. Well, we'll continue catching Schaefer up. I have to get his thoughts on the Iowa game and how that.
Yeah,
unfolded.
I don't know if anybody wants to listen to me anymore after I basically just
tank their day with Nebraska basketball.
That
He
was
having
pretty-
such a
that
good
was
day.
pretty
Looking
sad.
forward to Nebraska playing NC State.
Schaefer, every day is a new opportunity, and
It
Nebraska plays North Carolina State tonight.
Look, and so the argument to that is when they finally turn it and it goes in the right direction, it's going to feel incredible.
It's going to be glorious.
The problem is you have to string your life out long enough to get there.
I guess I'll keep living.
I get.
That's basically
They
the.
still haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I'll just keep going.
You're just laying on your deathbed. You're just like, can't die yet. Nebraska basketball.
The first
still
time they
has
win
it.
like the Big Ten tournament or something, you're like, all right, I'm done. I'm out.
As soon as
They get a 4 seed. They get a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
They actually win that game.
and lose.
the final.
Oh.
Damn.
Sorry.
I'll say the final whistle blows, and you're like, perfect.
Let's take a quick break. Rika's in next for True or False.
More of Happer and Schaefer is coming your way on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Venue at Home is your answer for locally made, freshly prepared meals delivered to your door every week. Our meals come ready to heat and eat. With sizes for 2 people or 4, Venue at Home is perfect for busy people who want a quick, easy, and delicious meal option to share with your roommates or feed the whole family. Add on from our wide selection of appetizers, sides, desserts, alcohol, and more. Receive a discount on your meals by subscribing to get Venue at Home delivered every week. Visit venueathome.net to order today. That's venueathome.net.
Go ahead, let it sleet, let it slush, and let it snow, because the pros at T.O. Haas Tire are ready to help you with a new set of tires guaranteed to get you through it all. Like the complete line of Michelin tires, including the X-Ice Snow Tire. And right now, you can get $70 back when you buy any 4 new Michelin tires at the T.O. Haas Tire near you.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer back with you here on Happer and Schaefer, 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com. Rico is with us now for True or False. Welcome back, Rico.
Hello.
Doing okay?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you guys doing?
Very well. Very well.
Schaefer, I have missed you.
Yeah. What's it been like? Have you felt the need to pop in more over the last 2 days?
Kind of more, just every once in a while. I feel like it's not more.
Happer just didn't invite you on more.
He says it every, when you weren't here, he'd say, Rico's going to pop in, and every once in a while.
Okay.
Let's let him do his thing.
It's like you need a blinking sign and a switch that you can flip, and it just says.
I would love that.
I want my own thing. Okay.
I don't want to verbally break train of thought
right.
to ask Rico to come.
But
in.
you want him to come flying in with a sort of a thought off of your thought.
Yeah.
I want a button that has a blinking light, and then when you turn my mic on, I want that drop from the Dr. Pepper commercial that says Rico's time is now.
Okay, cancel that last part.
Why?
I think you just need the light.
No, I need all of it.
I don't think you need the light either. I think it's the universal sign that you want to say something is when you pull up the microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I feel awkward because
if,
you're
if
in a
you're
thought.
trying to get him to pop in.
I need a light.
The light
I need
lets
a switch.
him. Yes, the light lets him know he should be jumping in.
I should be listening.
I
feel bad sometimes though, because
updating.
I'll grab the mic and I'll stand here and then you're still talking and I'm just standing here and I'm like, I don't want him to break his train of thought to push the button and let me in. I want him to just keep going and then I'll talk afterwards. So I just feel weird.
That's how the sausage is made,
but it's okay.
Rico, what do we have today?
What was that?
What did I say?
Wico?
I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Rico's Wico?
Wico?
Wico. What do we have today?
True or false, Cincinnati is going to get left out of the college football playoff.
False. I don't. I anticipate chalk this weekend, and they will not be jumped by Notre Dame, who is apparently being penalized because they lost their coach, which is really funny. Shout out to the College Football Playoff Committee and Iowa Athletic Director Gary Barta, who heads that, who I saw in the Nebraska press box on Friday. I
don't know that I would know what he looks like.
Well, he was wearing a name tag that said, "I'm Gary Barta," and that didn't say the "I'm" part, but
He did not look what I thought he would.
Gary
look like.
Barta, I am. What does he look like? Let me see.
I
have an image.
I was going to accost him about putting Cincinnati in the playoffs, but I felt like that was probably inappropriate.
That is not at all what I thought Gary Barta looked like.
I thought he'd be rounder, older.
For some reason, I saw a mustache.
Could you give me a mock-up of what you thought Gary Barta would have looked like?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
I saw like a mustache.
Plus,
There's a former AD back in Columbus that just his name is also Gary, and so I think I just in my head lumped them to look the same.
All Garys must look the same.
I think
probably true.
I think Cincinnati is in if they win. If they lose, they're obviously not.
I don't know. It's just hard for me.
You think they're going to get jumped?
I think they might.
I mean, are they 4 right now or 3?
They're 4. Yeah. I don't see how they get jumped though.
I don't think they're going to get jumped.
Oklahoma
I don't
State.
see how. Well, I shouldn't say I don't see how.
I mean, Alabama's
I would
out
be
if they
surprised
lose.
if Alabama wins.
Yeah, me too.
Oklahoma State feels like they could really like jump Alabama. Like
yeah, no.
What is the order?
For all of my consternation, it does feel like there won't be a 2-loss team in the playoffs.
No, I don't think so. I think if Alabama loses, which we expect them to, they're gone. Oklahoma State wins, they're in. Cincinnati wins, they're in. Michigan wins, they're in. Georgia wins, they're in. I think that's what we're looking at.
It's a nightmare scenario for the Big Ten that Iowa wins, and then they're just not in this at all.
Yes.
Despite spending the entire year with basically 3 teams.
The nightmare scenario for everybody is that Alabama wins and the rest of chalk happens. Because then you have to have Alabama and Georgia probably both in the playoff, and some good deserving conference champion is going to get kicked out.
Probably Oklahoma State or Cincinnati.
If Alabama wins, they move up to 2, Michigan's at 1, Georgia's at 3. If Oklahoma State wins by enough and Cincinnati doesn't win by enough, Oklahoma State jumps Cincinnati. That's the nightmare scenario for Cincinnati.
For sure. Yeah. But I think chalk happens this weekend. I don't think there's any way that Alabama wins.
Is this like a hot take to say that I think Oklahoma State is good?
No.
Like I not, top 10 good or whatever, but I think that they are good enough to make a game interesting in the college football playoff. Like maybe they don't win every time.
This is the college football playoff that we've wanted for the last 7 years.
Yeah, I mean
this is awesome.
And
all that has to happen is normal things this
Right.
weekend. We're not praying for chaos.
We don't want upsets.
Chaos has already happened.
Yeah, we don't want upsets.
I think they'd be a relatively challenging team for any of Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, or Georgia.
I agree. I don't think there's anybody that's that much better.
Right.
Georgia's ceiling is lower than that of, say, in Alabama over the last several years because of their offensive.
Well, and then
you know,
also
deal.
because with both Georgia and Alabama, like they both kind of need this game on Saturday because they really haven't played anybody else.
I just had a realization.
Yeah.
Alabama loses. Oklahoma State goes up to 3 when they win because the committee wants Cincinnati to play Georgia to get blown out to then say, look, we can't have group of 5s in the college football playoff.
I don't know.
I think Cincinnati would be fine with that, given that they played Georgia to a standstill.
If
last
Cincinnati's in,
I think they're just happy to be there.
Okay.
Not happy to be there like they won't try, but
yeah,
whether they're 3 or 4, I think it's good either way.
Here's the thing that we have to adjust our brains to, and maybe if you are interested in a little, just think about this from a future perspective. What's going to happen in a month?
Future.
Michigan has a real chance to win a national championship. That team that almost lost to Nebraska, right down the street, has a legitimate chance to win the national championship.
I think of all the teams playing on Saturday, they're the one that I'm least confident will just win without problem.
But when they get, if they get there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's much that stands in between them and Georgia.
The only thing that I am not like, I'm not 100% in on Cade McNamara, but everything else about that. I mean, we sat here and gushed about their running backs. They clearly, between Aiden Hutchinson and the other guy whose name I can't remember. Yes,
David
Ojabo. They have havoc players on defense. They're a really interesting team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked after that game, like they were way better than I thought. And that included me also thinking Nebraska should have won that game in the fourth quarter.
So just think about that a little bit. I don't know what their odds are at the moment, but
a part of me would think that that's really cool, and another part of me would hate it so much.
Naturally. Yeah, that's of course. As a Nebraska fan, we always have to deal with that.
Be new, though.
Also, for that matter,
Georgia winning would also be
it's
new.
less, but I do think there's a chance that Cincinnati can actually win the national championship. Usually we talk about Cincinnati going in, if a group of 5 team goes in, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe they'll get in, but once they get there, it's over. Not the case this year, if it looks the way I think it's going to look.
If Cincinnati wins a national championship, that changes everything.
It'd be amazing.
It changes everything.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think they could.
I think they certainly could.
Just got to get hot.
Thank you, Rico.
No problem.
That's true or false, where we said false to one thing.
So we must have said, did you have other ones?
I did.
Quickly.
I got to find it again. Okay. It was true or false. Lincoln Riley is going to take all of Oklahoma's recruits.
False.
False, not all of them.
Okay.
Are there any more?
That's all of them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rico. We'll come back. 9:00 hour up next.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind grandma's fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and grandma's fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Developed by CDC.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Experience an increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Happer and Schaefer.
Says I take no joy in life. I can see that.
Coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Why are you yelling at me?
Whatever, make me a bicycle clown.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer.
You might want to look away for this.
Mike Schaefer.
My boy's awake and smart.
This is Happer and Schaefer.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of Happer and Schaefer here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you this morning. Sam McEwen's going to join us here in about 10 minutes. We'll get caught up on Husker football with him. Michael Bruntz will join in the 10 o'clock hour as he does, and we are back. Schaefer and I, it's a normal Wednesday. Trev Alberts went on his radio show last night on the Huskers radio network. And first of all, I was saying this earlier, Schaefer, love the calls to the Trev Alberts radio hour. There was one, I don't know if you listened to it. There was, I assume
about
you didn't.
The color coordination of the jerseys.
Yes, and that was our good friend Jason, who calls into our show sometimes. And I thought Trev had a good, or at least an answer that we'll talk about here. But there was one about band day. There was a guy who wanted to bring back this thing called band day, which is when all the local high school marching bands gathered at Memorial Stadium and they all went to the game together, and then they got to march on the field at halftime. And I was like, well, that's a thing that's probably a little bit outdated. Can
I just say I am 100% opposed to that idea?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Trev Alberts said,
if they all want to come to Memorial Stadium on a non-game day in March, great.
Trev Alberts said,
I don't even know, and I'm going to make people angry here. I don't even know if I care if Nebraska's band marches.
oh, you're anti-band. You're just anti-band in general.
Pretty much.
Uh-oh.
So let me have it. I don't care.
Wow.
I was going to ask you if you hated the kids, but now I
hate the kids. Kids are great.
I don't have to. You just hate the band.
I would love if Nebraska had a band that played a song from sometime in the last 50 years. But instead it's 1935, John Philip Sousa and George Gershwin. And, if we could get something a little more current,
they should play Industry, baby.
Well, they do Seven Nation Army by White Stripes.
Hey.
I meant
which is a kind of newer.
I meant with their whole.
They don't march to it.
Yeah,
they don't. March.
Would you enjoy it if they played Olivia Rodrigo?
No, they do some different stuff at halftime. They'll do some contemporary stuff.
Rarely.
Yeah, rarely. But
a lot of Mr. Touchdown USA. A lot of it. I don't want to extend this. I think
I like that the band is there.
Yeah, and I am generally more in favor of the voluntary condensed pep band with basketball.
Yes.
Than I am with the more regimented marching band.
I am pro drum set for basketball.
I'm not out entirely with it, but I just would prefer music that,
I think they did some Olivia Rodrigo at some point.
Well, I wouldn't have.
That's why he didn't like it.
Right. You were like,
no, when I heard Olivia Rodrigo, it was voted for. And it was worse than Owl City.
You have terrible music taste.
It was worse than that. That's like the meter. It's
which
like
was
Owl
terrible.
City.
Like the Firefly. Yeah, it was bad.
Okay. I disagree on both accounts.
Yeah. Hard disagree.
I disagree on both accounts.
I'm willing to be wrong. I don't care.
So yeah, there was a guy who called in about band day, which I thought was pretty funny and was something that they did in the 1930s to like attract more people to the games and have it be the kind of vehicle to paying attention about football.
In the 1930s?
Yes. That was part of his call. He was like, yeah, they did this in the 30s. They need to bring this back. And I was like, whoa, what's happening?
And here I thought I was out there because I like Come a Running Boys.
Come a running, boys.
The noise.
I don't know. I'm coming around to it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I like the fact that they play it every game. Anyway, then there was a call about the uniforms. And Trev had speaking of old school, Trev had a very kind of old school type of answer. Now, I don't know, because I listened to it, and I don't know that he was specifically talking about, hey, everybody needs to wear this, like there can't be any alternate uniforms, and everybody needs to wear the same colors as far as that's concerned. But I think he was talking about it on a little bit more of a broader scale, like maybe he's talking closer to logos, because over the years, like Nebraska basketball has used a little bit more of the script, and I know they put that kind of H, the script H on their logos occasionally. Baseball's done some different things. Football's done some different things, and he's right. They all do look a little bit different.
Right.
So I get what he's saying on that part. I don't think that means that alternate jerseys of any sort of are going away.
No,
they just want to centralize it and streamline it.
And I think from conversations I've had with people that would know, some of that kind of stems with how Adidas really protects the Nebraska football side of the Iron N and all of that. And so then
is it what the iron is that the block end, or is that
that's the skinnier
the skinny end? So the one on the helmet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that sort of like really becomes protected, and football is sort of different than all the other sports, and they're kind of left at their own leisure to football is a little more constricted, and then the other sports get to be a little bit more open with what they do.
Sure.
And since there isn't like an overarching kind of theme on it, they get to go their own way.
Yeah. And they've done a lot of different stuff over the last
I guess I don't particularly mind, because it has created what I think to be some pretty good, especially with basketball. I mean, I don't know how people that, go out and actually buy this stuff, because I don't, but just from watching the officially licensed merchandise, I feel like you get a lot better options with basketball than you do with football.
I agree.
I
think if they were to streamline
what I don't want from Alberts is that this means
everybody be football.
Everyone gets pushed into the sort of pretty boring.
I totally agree.
Track of football.
I agree.
So I hope that that's not where this is going. I actually hope that it loosens kind of their, I don't even know if this is a word, rigidity of where they keep football at.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
they're very protective of the football brand,
which it doesn't need to be that way. I mean,
I get it to an extent.
It's not like you're slapping a new logo on the helmet. Like it's always going to be that N on the side of the helmet.
But think about all the different like old school Herbie hats that have shown up. You really haven't had that show up for football.
No, not at all.
They don't want that.
No.
Like Adidas doesn't want that.
No, the coaches had the polos, and it was only the football coaches had the polos with the Iron N on it. And then the other coaches have their quarter zips or polos with the script Huskers or whatever.
Yep.
Like, hey, those are kind of cool. Football doesn't do anything like that.
Well, and what football is
and
sometimes
that's not like a Scott Frost thing. That's like a Nebraska.
No,
thing.
This is well beyond Scott Frost. This
Yeah.
has been I don't even know who the person is that runs it over there, but what football will get, and I don't know if you remember, if you were covering press conferences, Jordan Westerkamp was big on this. Like they would just get random packages of stuff that was never mass produced, intent to sell.
Yeah.
That like he would just be up at press conferences wearing this stuff you couldn't find anywhere.
Right.
And because I remember talking with an Adidas rep and basically being like, I have people in my life that want to buy this sweatshirt. How can they?
100%.
They can't. He's like, they made like 8 of them. He happened to wear one to a
The
press
stuff that they sell at the stores, whether it's the actual official Husker stores or the, Best of Big Red or whatever it might be, Husker Hounds, like the stuff that they sell at those stores are usually different than the team issued stuff. And the team issued stuff is really, really cool.
Right.
And that's what people want to wear. I was talking to a guy at a Husker Hounds once, and I went into one of their shops and they actually had a picture above this set of polos of Scott Frost wearing the polo. And I was like, what? I guess I get it, but why? And he's like, well, anytime he wears or anybody goes up to that press conference and wears something, people immediately want to come in and buy it.
Yep.
And sometimes they can't find it, but if we have it, then it goes.
You want to advertise.
If we have it, then it goes.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I just remember the fervor when those hats started coming out of basketball, and like that just became like people were hunting all over.
Yep. Those hats, those gray hats, yeah.
And then I don't know if you noticed this, but the golf team, they had them made up specifically for the golf team. And so then that became like this quest for people to figure out how they were gonna
the Herbie golfing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you ever see those, usually it's either a golf team member or somebody.
Eventually they did a very, very small batch of like the Herbie baseball.
Yep. I don't remember Herbie baseball. Did he have a glove or a bat?
He had a bat. I believe. Schaefer has coughing attack number 1 of the day.
Pretty good. Made it about 40 minutes in.
Not bad. And it wasn't much of an attack either. You're back. You're ready to roll.
They come in waves.
Sam McEwen is going to join us here momentarily. But yeah, I thought that was relatively interesting. And I'm mostly always taken back by the calls that he gets on that show, which are pretty funny. I don't know that there was a whole lot of ground covered, especially as far as serious stuff is concerned.
Yeah.
With the coaches, I mean, with the assistant coaches that Nebraska doesn't have right now, I don't know that he's terribly involved in that, which is a good thing.
It sounds like he's basically involved in so much as like he gets updates as to where things are at.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's the one that
and ultimately gets, you have to go through him to get clearance on if you're going to hire a guy or offer a guy or something like that. But yeah,
I think by the end of the week, we're going to have pretty much everything in line. There might be 1 or 2 things at the end, but
yeah. What I'm curious about, and this is what I want to ask Sam about. I'm curious. So over the first 3 years, first 4 years, they've had it a very specific way, just as far as how they use the 10 assistants, right? Offensive coordinator / wide receivers coach, no special teams coordinator, inside linebackers, outside linebackers, right? You can do different things with how you delegate responsibilities. So I'll be curious to see how they kind of reshuffle that, if they reshuffle it all. If they don't, I think that'd be kind of disappointing, because then you don't want to put different guys in the same type of roles and have them do the same responsibilities. The whole point of doing this in the first place is reshuffling the deck as far as the organizational prospects are concerned.
Yeah, the whole point of doing this is to free Scott Frost up to do other things.
Right.
But I'm very skeptical that that's going to be the end result.
Right. So we'll see. We could get a hint on that when we see the hires. All right, Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald joins us now on the Honda of Lincoln Hotline. Hey, Sam, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, guess what? The Nebraska-Iowa game on Friday was the most watched football game in BTN history.
Whoa. Huh. I wonder what are, do you know what the other contenders for that title are? Is there a list?
Was held by Michigan versus Colorado.
Okay.
2016. It was the most watched game in Big Ten Network history.
Interesting.
1.94 million viewers is a lot, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty good for like a normal network. Yeah.
Was that just a bunch of people paying in to see if the scenario that Nebraska could set up some other Big Ten winner?
Yeah, you had basically the whole West watching.
It's possible. The volleyball game that went right after that was the most watched volleyball match in network history, Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Huh. People sticking around. The BTN.
Do you think that Nebraska might be a media draw in the Big Ten? I think they might be a media draw in the Big Ten.
Yeah, something's telling me that may be the case.
Yeah. Just imagine if they win games.
Mm-hmm. People have been drawn to Nebraska for all year. I mean, their ratings have been good for a lot of games, but that's the value of playing on Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why you do it. I would love if that game were, on an over-the-air network, but that's a pretty amazing thing, when you get right down to it. That's pretty impressive. And no, that's not about Iowa. No offense to Iowa, they're a much better football team than Nebraska. Good for them, but that's not about Iowa.
It would be great. it would be great if they could put that on a consistent network, just whatever it is. Because over its first 10 or so years here, it's been on ESPN family of networks, and then they change it over obviously with the rights deal, and it's been on FS1. I think it's been on Big Fox, and it's been on BTN. It'd be nice if they had some consistency there. Maybe that would help too.
It would. I think BTN makes a pretty fierce effort to get that game. They want it. So they have a priority or a pecking order that they can kind of go out and grab a couple games every year, and that's they have a tendency of trying to go after that game on Black Friday because they know that it'll be a relatively captive audience. So that's part of why they do what they do.
Right.
And it works for them, But I would still love to see the game on ABC or Fox every year.
Yeah, it's relatively standalone on that Friday, and at least for that time slot, that's the only game that people want to watch. Go ahead, Chief.
Sam, last week I think I asked if you thought that there would be some staff announcements by this time on Wednesday. We've gotten here, there are not. However, do you think that this is close to coming to an end based on what Trev Alberts kind of said and what you've been hearing? I'm sure across your research.
Yeah, I think maybe later this evening or early tomorrow on Joseph. Knowing kind of what's going to happen there, because I think everybody saw the photo that he recruited for LSU last night. So, he was out on the trail for LSU. So I think that's a decision that'll be made, I think, relatively soon. The thing here is Nebraska has a tendency to, I don't know what the right wording is. They like to kind of do this in a big group. And so, like, in the past, they've kind of announced them all at once. Or, like, they do this thing with the transfer portal where they, like, announce, like, a couple of they announced, like, 5 guys all at once, even though some of the other guys had kind of were ready to go into the portal weeks before they went. So they have a tendency to do that sometimes. So we'll see if they're going to announce anything. I think you're going to see it accelerate today, tomorrow, next day after that. I kind of thought it was going to take at least a couple of days into this week. Part of it is they're trying to play out, I think, maybe some surprising, openings, people who might or might not take jobs. They probably have a couple home run swings out there as it relates to, what's the right word? Coordinator hires, things like that. So, I think they had to be diligent and measured and smart about it. I think there was a sense that it had to happen really fast because of recruiting and transfer portal. I think the transfer portal is, the decisions that are going to be made by kids there, that's not going to be defined or filled out by next weekend. Like, the portal takes it some time. And so I know they got, they kind of set up Teray in December, and then they got him in January. But I mean, again, I just feel like these take a little bit of time. And so I think they had this week to kind of vet and to figure out what they want to do and how they want to put it together, and then maybe announce something late this week, maybe next week. We'll see. But I think it's going to come together later this week, maybe today. Later this week, we'll see.
Yeah, Sam, how do you think it'll look? I was curious about this. How do you think it'll look organizationally? And I was talking about a little bit before you came on, just how they've kind of had it the last 4 years with the setup and the roles of the assistants that they had. Do you think they'll take this opportunity to reshuffle, at least in terms of the responsibilities that the new guys are going to have?
They have an opportunity to do so. Certainly, they have to, figure out what they want to do with special teams and whether they want that to be a standalone role. They have obviously 10 assistant coaching spots, so in theory, you should be able to do that. Opposite side of the head coach's strength is defense. They have 5 there. They could have 4 on offense. Simultaneously, there's other things they can do too. It kind of depends on what direction you want to go in. If you want to bring in a guy that has offensive experience as your special teams coordinator, you probably look at a Ricky Brumfield. He's on that side of the ball. And even if he's the special teams coordinator, a person like that, they can obviously sit in the offensive meetings and have a thought or two. So you could do those kind of things. I think the question becomes, so for me, the biggest question is this. It's probably facing Frost in Nebraska at this point, and it is a decision that's philosophical. Do you want to continue to go down the path of quarterback run heavy, sort of option style offense that people in this state love and is a little bit of a curveball relative to the rest of the Big Ten? Do you want to go down that road? Or do you want to go down the road of, let's see what it looks like when the quarterback is a distributor and is mostly a drop, a pocket passer type, the way that Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa and even Ohio State have, and even Michigan. Cade McNamara runs it a little bit, and then they bring the other guy in, and he runs it a little bit. But Michigan is primarily a pro style, spread that relies on running backs and tight ends and receivers to make plays. And so Nebraska would be almost an outlier in the league. Their usage rate of quarterbacks is higher than any team in the Big Ten. Rutgers is the only team that was close, and Rutgers had no offense to write home about. And so Nebraska has to kind of decide, do you want to continue to go down that path and be the outlier, or do you want to join the Joneses? And then I think that informs to some degree who you hire and how you figure out the roles. Like if you want to move toward a group of 5 coastal Carolina style offense, then you probably need somebody who's going to be coaching the quarterbacks because they need to teach them how to read and run, those kind of offenses a little better than what Nebraska was doing with Martinez. Or if you want to go to a sort of a drop back pass thing, you can do something a little bit different. So to me, that's one of the biggest questions in front of Frost, and it's one he's going to have to answer immediately, because you don't hire, group of 5 guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you don't hire them and then come and tell them, hey, we're going to run Michigan State's offense.
Right.
So you're not going to do that. So, I think that's probably the biggest question in front of Frost is, what does he want to do with that offense? What does he feel like is going to be the most successful thing for the program going forward?
The running back coach position almost feels like it's going to be Ron Brown's by default at this point. I don't know if you've spoken to Emmett Johnson at all, or if Evan has for you guys at the World Herald, but it basically feels like that's where it's going to go. Ron Brown hasn't coached since 2017. Ron Brown never has been a particularly fruitful recruiter, or at least in terms of when I've covered him. I get that there's a lot of respect for what he does, but aside from just his ties to Nebraska, what do you feel like Ron Brown can bring in 2022 if he is indeed Nebraska's running backs coach?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. One thing I think Ron does bring to the table is he is a developer. I would describe Ron as somebody who uses a lot of innovative and intense drills to develop his players. And so when we were able to watch practice back in the day at times, which we were, with Bo or whatever, Ron's pretty innovative. Like he's a pretty, he does some good stuff in the way that he teaches guys how to use their hands. He's pretty aggressive in his ball security drills. Those weren't always perfect, right? Amir Abdullah had some issues fumbling. There's a certain intensity and energy to his operation, like what he wants to get done and the way that he attacks the day. And I think guys go into practice knowing that they have to be ready, because he's going to be ready. Like you don't go into practice and, like you're cooling out and you have to go maybe over the course of 15 minutes, rise up to the coach's level of energy. Ron brings it so quickly that you almost have to be right there and match it. I do think that he is a mentor to some of the players. I think he can provide that aspect. As a recruiter, let me say this. Like, we wrote a big, long story on Amir Abdullah years ago. This is like when Amir was a freshman or a sophomore. And it was a long time ago. And one of the things about that story is this is right when the tornadoes hit in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. And, and Ron went down there and he was hiding in a tub because the tornadoes were running through everywhere. there was something about the way that Ron recruited Amir that did help, even though Tim Beck is a person that kind of did, the bulk of the recruiting, and Tim was a good recruiter. There was still a relationship that Ron was able to establish with Amir. That, they had different faves, lots of different things there. But they established a relationship as a coach and a player that I thought was extremely fruitful. Like, Amir was a naturally good player, but that was Ron Brown's guy. Like, he developed him and made him the player he was. And that wasn't he took over with 1 year left. No, I mean, he was there for all 4 years that Abdullah was there. Rex Burkhead was not recruited by Ron Brown. I think they also forged a good bond, though. So, I think there's various ways of looking at that. I think if you hire a special teams coordinator and you're looking at the guys that they're looking at, you might be able to get some back in recruiting there. Or if you're getting a Joseph, well, you're getting one of the better recruiters, that you'd have on your staff. That's a highly motivated, highly personable guy who can convince a lot of kids. So I think there's some options there to fill out the recruiting profile and portfolio. I'm not trying to say recruiting isn't important, because I think it's enormously important once you start talking about going from 8 to 11 wins or 9 to 12 wins or all those things. Nebraska needs to develop their players better. I mean, I really do think they need to become a better developmental operation. I don't really question the talent of the running backs with like Sevion Morrison and Marvin Scott. They had talent. Things just didn't develop the right way. And so I think you have to look at development, and you may lose a little bit in recruiting, but you may gain a little bit in, old school, knows how to make a player better. And that's where I think you might gain something with Ron.
All right, Sam, we'll let you go. Always appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, guys.
That's Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald. Really good stuff there. Let's come back and finish up that thought a little bit on the running back room and what's kind of next there. Next on Happer and Schaefer.
Follow Connor and Mike on Twitter at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer. You're listening to Happer and Schaefer.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind grandma's fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and grandma's fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. That was good stuff from Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald US, specifically about Ron Brown, who just in the following of it, it does not seem as if Nebraska is actively courting a running backs coach.
Yeah, I've heard nothing about anyone other than Ron Brown being the running backs coach. And then
we can go through it here real quick. I mean, it's feels like we're relatively close to Mickey Joseph, wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
At this point,
those are the two that I would be pretty close to putting in with Sharpie. I don't know. I've heard no less than 8 million names for the offensive line.
That's the one. Offensive coordinator,
including
too.
A very confusing one where two guys have the same last name and similar first names, but are radically different, and also both are offensive line coaches.
Wow.
So
that's a nugget.
There's that.
I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly.
I'm not going to go into it on air as much, but there's been some really interesting offensive coordinator names. You know, through the 24/7 Sports Network, we've confirmed some people that to what extent Nebraska's interest is, you never know. But there are, there's at least one guy that I know Nebraska has talked to that is a long time successful offensive coordinator at a sitting Power 5 school right now that has legitimate interest in this. So if Nebraska goes that route, it would check every box of the go get someone that has ran a variety of offenses, that has overwhelming amounts of success,
experience.
And he's older, yeah. I mean, he would be the oldest person on staff, save for Ron Brown, assuming he becomes the coach. So
this is fun. This is like finding out who's on behind the blind resume in the NCAA tournament.
I don't want to do the thing where I just hint at stuff and people get annoyed because I don't want to say names, but I want to be relatively careful to the people that are helping me gather the information. And I'm not in this to try to just float people's names to get them salary raises. Like, that's not because that happens a lot this time of year.
Yeah.
I know former Nebraska assistants that wanted that to happen for them. I know other coaches around, this is a thing that does, but with two guys in Ron Brown and Mickey Joseph, I feel pretty comfortable saying at this point, it would be an upset if they aren't in the positions of, wide receiver coach and running back coach.
Even just from the tea leaves, those are the most consistent names that have been out there.
Yeah. Well, and with running back, it's just there's no other name. And then Emmett Johnson is a running back from Minnesota. Ron Brown and Steve Cooper were up there yesterday visiting with him. And he more or less gave a quote to me that he very much wants Ron Brown to be the coach. And then he also gave another quote where it was like, and Coach Brown said it's Coach Frost's decision.
I love that.
Yeah. So Emmett Johnson, 3-star running back from Minnesota, led the state in rushing. He's coming in for an official visit, not this weekend, but next.
Well, you would love you would love whoever it is at any of these position spots to, be able to say, oh, well, there's a couple guys who might come along with me.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough.
Or have relationships currently with, but especially that running back room. And that's where, you're essentially hiring a guy from in-house who hasn't been actively recruiting over the last several years, or at least in theory you are. And I don't know what Nebraska's running back room is going to look like next year. Marvin Scott's gone. Savion Morrison's gone. I think there's probably a really good sense in that room about Gabe Ervin, just as far as his future prospects are concerned. But that was a pretty serious injury. What does that look like? Do you want to just fully give him the keys right away? What's Marquis Stepp's status? And I guess that there would be another transfer.
Could be. It's a tough room to figure out because if Nebraska moves forward and they want Emmett Johnson, and another thing from yesterday, Ashton Hayes, Tony Tuioti stopped by.
Yeah.
Ashton Hayes told me he's just ready to sign. He's done. So he's coming in. But he's also one of those guys.
Well, he can do that in 2 weeks.
And one of those body types that, like, if they wanted him to go play wide receiver, he could do that.
He's definitely not an every down back. That
he doesn't strike me that way, but at the same time, if you look at his production,
I think he's really good.
Yeah.
I think he's actually pretty good. I just don't know what role
he's
fills.
more like and he's not directly like this, but he could be more like a Maurice Washington, change of pace, use him against linebackers in space. Though they're not similar exactly in their profile. I like Ashton Hayes a lot. I'm curious how that one will play out when he gets here. But then, you mentioned Ramir Johnson, Gabe Ervin, Marquis Stepp. So you have those three guys. Jock Yant. So there's a fourth.
Yep.
Bring in two freshmen. Like maybe if Stepp leaves or Yant leaves, you're going into the portal. But I think you kind of have to see how that plays out. But
that's true. Yeah.
I'm glad that Sam brought up Amir Abdullah. Nebraska's had no stability at running back since 2014.
None.
At all.
15, they
And
just kind of gave it to Terrell Newby.
Some of that is Ron Brown's recruiting post Amir Abdullah. Like when he became running backs coach, inherited
And
a room.
18 was Ozigbo, but they stumbled into it.
Right.
Yeah.
When he became running backs coach, he inherited a room that had Braylon Hurd, Amir Abdullah, Aaron Green, Rex Burkhead.
Not bad.
Since that point, Nebraska's had one guy get a cup of coffee in the NFL at a position that growing up, I always thought of Nebraska as then it was an eye.
Everyone did.
And I would say that and BC had a great story about this yesterday. The record 3-9 is jarring. Nebraska's running back production is equally as jarring.
Yeah, like take Brandon Jackson, for example. Like we didn't think that much of Brandon Jackson at Nebraska.
He was like the fourth guy that year.
Right.
It was Marlon Lucky. It was Kenny Wilson. It was I always forget who the third person was, and then Brandon Jackson.
And he had a nice NFL career.
Yeah. It didn't go that well, but he had a fantastic 2006 season.
Yeah.
And then that gives way to Marlon Lucky in 2007, and then Roy Halou, then Rex Burkhead, then Amir Abdullah, and then a whole host of sort of.
They've definitely tried a lot of things over the last 5 years.
And so more than anything,
this is over 2 coaching staffs.
We talk a lot about quarterback. We talk about offensive philosophy. One thing that would help Nebraska become Nebraska again, or even just serviceable on offense, stability at running back. And so I am a little skeptical because as good as Ron was in helping Amir Abdullah become Amir Abdullah, he didn't leave the cupboard particularly full for Reggie Davis, who didn't leave the cupboard full at all for Ryan Held, who there's
the
people
cupboard
in the
right
cupboard,
now.
but
yeah.
And I like Ramir Johnson. I do. Is Ramir Johnson a guy you're going to give 200 carries to in 2022?
Well,
Probably not.
Weirdly enough, I actually think the two guys, and this is where if you're going to go with Ron Brown, the two guys who have most recently left that room in Savion Morrison and Marvin Scott, they could have most benefited from Ron Brown being their running back coach, because I think those guys probably had the most potential.
Marvin Scott appeared, ran hard. He
Yeah.
sort of did what
I know,
Ramir
it was
Johnson
so
did
odd.
And in that
He
Oklahoma
was
game.
very good on Friday.
Where you're like, this guy.
Yeah.
And then now he's in the portal and I think he's going to end up at a group of 5 school. I could see him at an FAU or something. But I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that Marvin Scott's like a 800-yard to 1,000-yard rusher for a group of 5 team.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised.
You could have easily gotten Savion Morrison to that point, I think, too.
I don't know what's going to happen with him. Like, I don't know where he's going to land. And I like Savion a lot. He's one of my favorite quotes from the like, when you got that guy talking, you could get anything out of him. I think he's going to end up at a Power 5 school, but I don't know. I don't know where, and I don't know how it looks. Like, he could also end up at a Tulsa and dominate.
The potential for him was always something that jumped off the page for me, just compared to the other guys in the room. And I think if we're talking about Nebraska having which they need, by the way, they need a developer, but there's a limit to how far you could take the guys that you have, given what their skill set is. So they need to work on the guys that they have, and we've been talking about that all year now. It's just become bigger and bigger I mean, we could have the minute right now. Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum.
Oh,
so
good.
Those guys are awesome. And Haskins really had his, I think, coming out party nationally on Saturday. But the extra yards that they just, that Nebraska leaves out there compared to those guys, it's pretty staggering. And Nebraska needs help from their offensive line and stuff like that too. But
they have to.
I don't think
they
just haven't gotten the most out of that position,
right?
And
that's true. And it's not just his staff. I mean, that was true under Riley. I was really, really critical of Reggie Davis in almost every facet.
Well, I mean, he was kind of the guy overseeing the Ozigbo thing that was so weird for the first three years of his career. Like he would show up, be good, and then we wouldn't see him again. You know what I mean? It was like Mikhail Wilbon on steroids. Which we don't have to do the Mikhail Wilbon.
Nah, I don't know that he ever showed up and looked good. But
hey, the BYU game.
Yeah, that one
the BYU game
3-yard run that everyone talked about for 14 months.
For as much as people talked about the Mikhail Wilbon thing, Divine Ozigbo was like anytime he showed up in a game, it was like this guy could do something.
He just produced. Yeah. I mean, we're really into it now, but the guy that never got to be the guy was Trey Bryant. He was actually probably the best running back, or it felt like he was going to be the best running back.
And he would have been.
And he unfortunately has old man knees.
Yep.
And that ended him.
Chronic old man knees, I believe is what they called it.
Weird medical term.
Yeah. But. Yeah, that's official though. Chronic old man knees. So it's been quite the crapshoot for Nebraska at running back. They need stability there badly. And you hope a new running back coach could bring that a little bit to the table. All right. You guys have any thoughts on that? We'd like to hear them. 402-464-5685. We'll come back and round out the hour next.
More of Happer and Schaefer is coming your way on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind grandma's fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and grandma's fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. You can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and now I'm protecting it with the COVID vaccine. Everyone, even kids 5 years and older, can get the vaccine too. If you've been vaccinated, now you can get your booster shot if you qualify. Stay strong, get vaccinated, and learn more at healthylincoln.org.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
State Farm, this is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But you know, State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers says let it snow because a white New Year's Eve could mean free jewelry. Shop from November 24th to December 24th, and if it snows 3 inches or more on New Year's Eve, your purchase is free. Holiday savings throughout the store. 36 months interest-free financing with approved credit. And remember, shop from November 24th to December 24th, and if it snows 3 inches or more on New Year's Eve, your purchase is free. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Man, we sure could use an easy win this season.
I hear you. That's why I suggested to the wife that we go to Magical Lights of Seward, the area's largest and most entertaining drive-through Christmas light show.
So, by suggesting going to Magical Lights of Seward, you got a win?
Yeah, my wife said it was the best idea I'd had in a long time. The kids loved the dazzling light show, synced with traditional and modern Christmas music, and we had an affordable, fun family experience.
Get your win too by pre-ordering your tickets today at magicallightsofseward.com/ticket.
Connor Happer.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I like ketchup.
Mike Schaefer.
What are we doing? I can't handle it. What's going on?
This is Happer and Schaefer.
All right, welcome back. Rounding out the hour. We got a few minutes here while we just take some things on the text line. People want to really dive into what you were saying about the offensive coordinator, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm super interested in the OC Mike was talking about. Would the guy you were talking about be a home run hire?
I don't think it's a name people know, but it would be one where you look at the resume and you go, okay.
It would check some boxes.
This fits the idea of what was built in the head, that if Scott Frost is offloading to a veteran offensive coordinator, that's who this would be. But it's not, I'm not like sitting here telling you that it's a guy that,
Well,
but
that's why the offseason hasn't officially started yet, because we don't know what we know what they said the plan was, but until you actually execute the first part of it, which is hiring the people and putting specifically the offensive coordinator and then a little sprinkling of the quarterback in place, then you don't know what they're trying to accomplish. You don't know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I don't even know that this guy is going to end up with the job either. I mean, it's just someone that I know has been in contact.
You guys still feel pretty good about Mickey, even with him recruiting for LSU last night?
Yeah.
There was a picture that was going around, obviously. Mike says, yeah.
I do. I think that one will happen. I mean, you never know with assistant coaches. I tell this story every now and then. But when I got on, and so in 2012, I went on the Husker cruise. I gave a recruiting presentation, and right before we disembarked, which is a nautical term.
Thank you. Good job.
I received a text that Corey Raymond was going to be staying with Nebraska. He had been pursued pretty heavily at that point in time by a couple different jobs, and was told like he's going to be staying. So this was in a time in which, paying for internet on the high seas was fairly expensive. And my room, this was not comped.
Were you roaming?
So I didn't have internet for a couple days. My recruiting speech was at the very end of this whole thing.
This is over a couple days.
Yeah. My speech is at the very end of this thing. Give a recruiting presentation on the 2012 class, which features like Armstrong and Westerkamp and all of those guys. And at the very end of it, I talk up Corey Raymond. He's this fantastic recruiter. And then I sort of just like drop in there. Yeah, I heard right before we left, things look really good. He's going to be staying. We get back. It's like Monday at 7 a.m. I'm in Miami. I spend the whole day at the airport because I have nothing else that I can really do. And I have no money at that time to go do anything anyways. And at like Monday at 11 a.m., it comes out that he's going to go to LSU. So,
well, all you can do is
I have the information that I had.
Yep, you give the
was
most
good
updated
at that
information.
Time. It's good for all of the time of which you have it until it's no longer good.
That's it.
So,
just like coaches when they leave jobs,
yeah.
and they say that they're not going to other jobs ever, and they love the place that they're at. Well, stuff comes up. You can love the place that you're at and leave it.
Maybe I'm just like an overly sensitive idiot, but I was so annoyed watching various people dunk on Brian Kelly, Lincoln Wright, like for how they left their team. Like,
there's no good way to do it.
It doesn't matter if they go and win at the next location. No one's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like this pure 8-hour thing where people are like, oh, I got to get in all my digs and all my jokes about this. And we're never going to think about it.
Like again. If you're Brian Kelly, how do you do it to where it comes off sincere?
Well,
and
it came out before he wanted it
and
to.
that somebody doesn't screenshot a text message and say,
that's the other thing.
Like, hey, I'm sorry about this. It happens in 10 seconds.
Like watching veteran reporters make fun of this. And it's like, what do you don't send text messages in your life that are overly emotional to people?
Right.
Like, how do you think it would look if that got put out there?
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
and I'm sorry it had to happen this way, but this is happening. I'm coming back right now.
I thought it was kind of gross. Like, I just,
me too.
I don't know. Again, like it probably comes off somewhat overly sensitive, and Twitter's mostly for dunking on everything, but I don't know what you want people to do in that situation. There's no way to look great when you leave a program.
That's it.
I mean,
and maybe some of it is just like Brian Kelly doesn't have the most upstanding reputation of like being a great
Sure.
guy. So maybe it's just that and people want to pile on.
But think about like Scott Frost. Like Scott Frost leaves UCF, sticks around and coaches them to an undefeated season that they claim as a national title.
Yeah.
He's like that fan base just destroys him on Twitter all the time.
Right.
The reporters down there
he couldn't have done anything more.
Right. So,
he was coaching UCF after he was hired at Nebraska.
To the detriment of his upcoming program at Nebraska.
Right.
And he still gets destroyed by the people there. So there's no good way to do it.
Off the text line, love the show, guys. Can anyone name one impact skill position player on offense Frost has recruited and developed? Note, Austin Allen was recruited by Mike Riley. That's from BJ in Wichita. Shout out Wichita.
No. I mean,
short answer, no.
Adrian Martinez is your closest because he's an impact player. Like you can't argue he's not, but he's so combustible that it's hard to go. It's hard to get,
all the good
constant upward trend with him.
And some of this is, what's good and whatever, but like the top skill guys that they've had over the last 4 years have either been inherited or transfers.
Or
they
leave the program.
Yeah.
I mean, because the next closest is like, we go back to this.
I do.
They've never replaced Maurice Washington.
Right. No Duck R. No Husk R. I do like the track that a guy like Omar Manning is on.
Sure.
If he sticks around, I think he could be
Xavier Betts could be really good. You just
Right.
have to work him into the offense and all of that.
Right. So it's not to say that it couldn't ever happen, but
if it is Mickey Joseph and his track record with wide receivers, if you're Xavier Betts and Omar Manning, that's a huge win for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to take anything away from Matt Lubick, but like the track record of what Mickey Joseph has done, And those guys are skilled players. I don't look at Omar Manning as like a slam dunk NFL wide receiver, but I think Xavier Betts can be. And I think Manning could at least get an opportunity in the league.
Yeah.
And having a guy that has developed how many wide receivers? Like that would be huge.
I think so too.
In that regard.
All right, 402-464-5685. Once again, I want to hear from you guys on the show today. Honda Lincoln Hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. We'll take a quick break. Michael Bruns of Husker 24/7. He'll join us next on Happer and Schaefer.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
State Farm, this is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But you know, State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
Man, we sure could use an easy win this season.
I hear you. That's why I suggested to the wife that we go to Magical Lights of Seward, the area's largest and most entertaining drive-through Christmas light show.
So, by suggesting going to Magical Lights of Seward, you got a win?
Yeah, my wife said it was the best idea I'd had in a long time. The kids loved the dazzling light show, synced with traditional and modern Christmas music, and we had an affordable, fun family experience.
Get your win, too, by pre-ordering your tickets today at magicallightsofseward.com/ticket.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Chris Plank of Sooners Radio Network here with us. Were you shocked that he left?
Yeah, I got a phone call that, hey, coaches don't have to be in for a while, so we're pushing everything back. 10 minutes later, he's off the U.S. So that's how blindsided everyone was. The host of their coaches show was sitting on the set waiting for Lincoln to show up and tape the coaches show, and he never did. So everybody was blindsided by this.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses, 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture, also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances, 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. You can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Happer and Schaefer.
Says I take no joy in life. I can see that.
Coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Why are you yelling at me?
Whatever, make me a bicycle clown.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer.
You might want to look away for this.
Mike Schaefer.
My boy's wicked smart.
This is Happer and Schaefer.
Welcome back in. Happer and Schaefer here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Nebraska basketball tonight. They are going on the road. First road game of the year. I was going to say first true road game of the year, but it's also just the first time away from Pinnacle Bank Arena for Nebraska as they head to Raleigh, North Carolina, lovely city, and take on North Carolina State tonight.
Never been. You been?
Yes, plenty of times I have family out there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have the whole Happersville.
Pretty much. Yeah.
The shady, seedy part of town.
That's right.
Remember that day we looked that whole thing up?
Yeah, it's
that was incredible.
It's quite the story of Happersville. It's not that close to Raleigh, but it's in the area. That's for sure. Michael Bruns joins us now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
How are you?
Not bad. I've never been to Raleigh.
Are you going today?
I'm not. I will not be going today either.
What is the last time you covered a Nebraska basketball road game?
I think it was when they played in Kansas City. It's the Sprint Center or whatever they call it these days.
Oh, yeah. When people freaked out because they lost to Texas Tech and then Texas Tech went to the Final Four.
That's the one.
Gotcha.
I think that was the last one. So, well, have they played Kansas since then?
No, that was after that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Then that would be the last one. Or no, whichever was the later of the two, that was the last time.
Yeah, yes. The Kansas City one was the later of the two.
Okay, yeah, that was it then.
I think so. Okay. Well, what do you think tonight? Even though you're not going to be in wherever they play I think it's the same home of the Carolina Hurricanes, I want to say, which
does it have a nickname? Is it like the Wolf Den or something like that?
No.
No?
I think it is officially called PNC Arena.
Wow. And it's not nearly as nice as what I assume PNC Park to be.
It's home of the Carolina Hurricanes and the NC State men's basketball team. It has also previously been called the RBC Center, which is what I knew it as a child.
Oh yeah, the RBC Center.
Oh, remember the old RBC Center?
Yeah. Hang out at the R.
What are you expecting? And really, it's an important stretch for Nebraska basketball. The competition turns up quite a bit. First true road game tonight. What do you think it'll look like?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm eager to see how this team functions, on the road when things maybe aren't going well. I mean, we've seen at home where this team has had to endure stretches where the offense looks way more difficult than it probably should. Missing shots, that kind of thing. The challenge for teams is how do you overcome those moments when you're on the road? So I'm eager to see how just kind of the whole dynamic works. I'm eager to see if they can maybe shoot the ball a little bit better away from Pinnacle Bank Arena. I don't know if that's just a Nebraska thing that they can't shoot there, but that's kind of where I'm what I'm going to be watching. I'm also curious to see Bryce McGowan's going against a higher level of competition. I mean, I think Creighton was able to really kind of push him around in that game, and I'm eager to see how NC State decides that they want to try to defend it.
Which of these two guys has a bigger statement game? Bryce McGowan's going back to the Carolinas or Thomas Allen facing Nebraska?
Is there anybody? I'm trying to think. Is there anybody left that Thomas Allen would really know?
No.
At this point,
Armand Gates.
Here's the thing: if this game is competitive tonight, we won't see Thomas Allen.
Yeah, he barely plays.
He barely plays.
Yeah. So I would. Who was the non-Thomas Allen option? McGowan's. I think McGowan's. These 4 games are going to be really big tests for him. Obviously, he's looked the part the last couple weeks against competition that you should look the part against, and I'm just I'm curious to see if he can kind of get going from outside with the shot. I know that's something that Nebraska's been working with him on. Fred Hoiberg's been working with him on. So these are the kinds of games where you need your star players to step up, and that's Bryce McGowan's
4-game stretch. Everybody's going to ask, so I'm going to be one of them. NC State on the road, Indiana on the road on Saturday, Michigan back at home next Tuesday, and then Auburn in Atlanta next Saturday. What does Nebraska end up with record-wise out of that?
I think 2-2 at best. I would probably lean 1-3 more than likely. So that's. I just think those Big Ten games right out of the chute are going to be pretty tough. So that's kind of. I think I would chalk those up right now as losses. So we'll see what they can get done against Auburn and what they can get done tonight.
What's going on in the background here?
Just the usual kid stuff, as you would expect.
Sounds like it's going really well.
Yeah, this is actually going pretty well. So
it's good. It's good. Speaking of things that have gone well, Nebraska's special teams.
Oh, well, we're not at that level. If that's what you're
no, probably not.
Not yet.
We know that Scott Frost has been somewhat hesitant to just say outwardly that he's going to go get a special teams coordinator. Do you think when all is said and done and everything happens with changes, Nebraska will have a coach designated to coach special teams next year?
I think you have to. Like, I don't know how you don't. I know what Scott Frost has said publicly. I also have watched Nebraska football the last 4 years and certainly the last year. And I don't see how you go into a make or break year with everything just being status quo with that part of the team. I know that there's some thought that perhaps it's the specialists that are to blame. I think that they share in some of that. You've also had 8 different guys attempt field goals for this team in the last 3 seasons. So I think it's a mixture of personnel and the people doing the picking. I mean, it is probably the best way to put it. So I think you have to have something. I think obviously, Bill Bush being on staff now as an analyst, I think he's an intriguing guy. Ricky Broomfeld at Virginia has been another name out there. I know he's out still recruiting for Virginia and is expected to do so later this week too. But just with the way that this season unfolded, the way that they lost games and how close these games are going to be going into the future, I think you have to shake things up with special teams. There's just no way around that for me. And I think if you don't, I think you're just you're not addressing the real issues that you have to going into the next season.
What did you think of the Logan Smothers show on Friday?
I didn't mind it. What was it? 24 carries is what he finished with. Yeah. I think that would be a little bit heavy for what I would like to see for a quarterback in the Big Ten, but he looked composed for the most part. I thought he made some plays. I thought, he ran what he was asked to do. So, does it change my thinking in terms of what Nebraska needs to do with the quarterback in the portal in the offseason? Absolutely not. But I do think that he's at least going to be a pretty good competitor in that quarterback race, however it looks this spring.
Well, I know some of it depends on kind of what's out there for them, but ultimately, what do you think? What kind of quarterback do you think they go get? I mean, you can bring them in with the idea of like, hey, you're going to be the starting quarterback, or hey, you're going to have to compete for. Like, there's kind of differing levels of it. What do you think their approach will be as far as a quarterback, a transfer quarterback is concerned? Because, like you said, I think we all agree that they're going to probably have to dip their toe in the water there.
Yeah, well, and probably more than a toe.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're going all the way.
I think the direction they go, a lot of that depends on what Adrian Martinez decides, because you got to get somebody, but it's a much different conversation if Adrian Martinez is on your roster versus Adrian Martinez not being on your roster, right? I mean, if he's coming back, you're asking somebody to come in and compete with a 4-year starter, 3-year captain, all that other stuff. I think it kind of limits who you can get and the kind of guy you can get. I think if he decides that he's done it in Nebraska, I think that kind of opens your options quite a bit. I also think, whatever the mishmash offense that they're going to run next year, depending on the offensive coordinator hire, is also going to, be influence who they go and get. I mean, that's kind of obvious commentary, but, I do think that they need to find somebody that's, a little bit more efficient in the passing game. And, I think the athleticism is going to have to be there with the run game. I think it always will under Scott Frost, but I just think you need a little bit more efficiency from that position. So, I still think that whole question is pretty much in the air, though. And I think a lot of that is going to be decided by whatever Adrian Martinez does, and also whoever they end up getting to come in and call plays and run the offense.
We spend a lot of time, and rightfully so, talking about Nebraska's offense because they're looking for new assistant coaches and it could change and they might have a different quarterback and all of that. Yesterday, Nebraska had 7 players make either an all Big Ten team or honorable mention. 6 of those guys have the opportunity, or at least, 4 of them are for sure gone. 2 of them, in Cam Taylor-Britt and Damian Daniels, could come back, but Cam Taylor-Britt we know is gone. Damian Daniels we don't know. Luke Reimer, the other honorable mention, he will be back. How confident are you that Nebraska has the depth to replace guys like Ben Stille, Markel Dismuke, Deontay Williams, JoJo Domann?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, you kind of got a little bit of a preview of what that might look like against Iowa. I mean, you didn't have Daniels in there, you didn't have Williams in there, and those are 2 real key pieces for that defense. I mean, Damian Daniels controlled a lot of the line of scrimmage for Nebraska this year, and Deontay Williams the last couple of years has accounted for a lot of Nebraska's turnovers. So, you add in JoJo Domann and what he brings from just being a unique football player to that mix, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's not, Isaac Gifford is a fine football player, and I think he's going to be very good, but he's not senior year JoJo Domann next season. Like, there's just no way around that. I think Nebraska's got to get a big body nose tackle that can come in and play right away, whether that's junior college, whether that's a transfer portal, because, we've seen in the past what happens when you don't have that big body in the middle. It's really tough in the Big Ten to stand up and stop the run. So, that they've got guys that I think can eventually grow into those roles, especially in the secondary, but it's not a matter of, just plugging and playing right now. So they're going to have to do some work there. I think the spring's going to be really important. If they can kind of keep the continuity piece too and keep most of the staff together, I think that's also really important. But, the kind of upward trajectory that Nebraska's defense has been on, I don't think it's a given that that's just going to continue. I think it's going to take some work and some reconfiguring of guys on the roster to make that happen.
All right, Bruns, we'll let you go. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you next week.
So good, guys. Talk then.
Michael Bruns of Husker 24/7. Find his stuff there, along with Mike Schaefer's as well. Have you heard? Mike Schaefer also does writing for the internet.
Sometimes
calls it. Should we do basketball now before we take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as they have, from what I have currently seen from Nebraska basketball, I would not project them to win any of the next 4 games.
Which is the most winnable
tonight?
Yeah.
Tonight. Yeah. So they need to, I think the physicality thing is going to be a real issue for them. And that obviously, it's manifested itself in rebounding a lot this year. And, but on the defensive end, especially without Trey McGowan's, it's going to be tough for them against these teams that could really, especially in the Big Ten, that could really execute well and do it with, bigger physical players. Fred Hoiberg talked a little bit yesterday about CJ Wilcher and the presence that he kind of gives them. That's a sharpshooter, who I feel really good about when he has the ball in his hands, and I feel like it's going to go in most of the time, and that's a real weapon that he gives. But he talked about him as a little bit more of a physical guy. You just look around the roster, and there's not. I mean, they're all pretty slight, and that even goes to Walker in the post.
Yeah, he's undersized.
Who really battles, and he's one of the guys in the team who I think brings you that attitude, that mentality. They just need a little bit more of that. If not, which I don't think that I don't think there's really much signs of it at this point. If not, they're going to have to be really good on offense, and we haven't seen that yet either. There will be games that they win surprisingly because they'll have a great night on offense, but I don't know. The next four look tough for me, man. They do. NC State, Indiana, Michigan, and Auburn.
Yeah, if you were gonna grab one,
it'd be tonight.
NC State hasn't exactly put teams away that are, Colgate's solid. They won that one by 3. Bucknell they beat. Central Connecticut State they beat by double digits. Otherwise, teams have kind of hung around on them a little bit. I don't know if you saw the video going around, and I don't remember even who tweeted it, but there's a player, Kenneth Lofton Jr., who went for 36 against NC State, and he is basically, I don't even know how I would describe him, other than he physically probably looks like an extra 35 pounds on EJ Liddell. He's like a 6'7".
Who did he play for?
Louisiana Tech.
Okay.
So they beat Louisiana Tech 90-81. He had 36 points, 17 rebounds, and was just an animal in these highlights that I watched. Nebraska's nobody like that.
Right. So they're susceptible to some of the same things Nebraska is.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, in a weird way, you probably have a little mirror image team.
Exactly.
They don't have a very good rebounder on their team. Yep. They don't have a physical post presence. What they can do, they can shoot. And if it's a night where they come out and they shoot like they did, and they go 11 of 23 from 3, I mean, Nebraska can get run out of that gym really quickly unless they start hitting on their own.
How about this name? Freshman guy who will give him a little bit from that shooting perspective. Terquavion Smith. Hell yeah. We need a Terquavion.
Kenneth Lofton Jr. is a 6'7", 275-pound freshman from Port Arthur, Texas.
Whoa. Listen to some of these. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to some of these names. Terquavion Smith, Jericho Helms.
Yeah, he was 6 of 8 for 3 in that game.
There's a guy who doesn't play quite as much, but his name is Ebenezer Duwona.
Duwona.
Ebenezer. There's an Ebenezer. And then there's Thomas Allen.
You haven't even gotten to Darion Sebron.
They have an Ebenezer.
Breon Pass. And then just imagine you're the guy named Ernest Ross.
I like Terquavion. That's one of my favorites that I've seen so far.
I love how you're going through all that and then you just go, yeah, and then there's Tom
Allen. There's Tom. You couldn't get any more. I mean,
he did not play against Louisiana Tech.
Maybe if his name was like Tom Smith, then that would be a little bit more normal. But
yeah,
that just reminded me of the Key and Peele. They're just going through, and then the last guy, the BYU punter, John Smith, BYU.
Brunts and I were at a baseball game. Joe Smith came in to pitch the reliever, and we determined that has to be the single most common name.
I mean,
that you could get.
Maybe
Mike Smith or like a Tom Smith, because those are. But Joe Joseph was like a really popular name in an era.
I wouldn't be surprised if parents started going the other way and was like, yeah, we can't really name our kid Joseph because then eventually it becomes Joe Smith and he can't be Joe Smith. I mean, but if you are a Smith, you have to name your kid something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, in theory, you should always have to name your kid something.
I have an uncle named Tom Smith.
All right. There you go.
It's got to be named something.
I have an uncle named Tom Smith.
What is your uncle's name?
Are you sure?
Anthony Alvarez.
All right.
That's not that abnormal, though.
Tony Alvarez. That seems like a pretty common name.
Yeah, maybe. My grandpa's name was Gregorio.
That's awesome.
No, that does not seem like a common name.
Gregorio.
It was awesome. I just called him Greg, though, and I was like, come on.
I'm going to name myself Gregorio.
You're going to name yourself Gregorio?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or Terquavion.
Haven't you named yourself different things a lot?
Terquavion Happer. You are still Feldarius.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Feldarius Happer, DeConnor Happer L. I've named myself at times.
Terrible.
What? I think it's great.
You get one name.
And it's Turquavion.
Nope. You're just Connor or Kurt
DeMornay, Happer
or Kurt.
So, like we said, it'll be a little bit of a mirror image kind of deal tonight. If Nebraska could find a way to get out with a road victory, it'd be really nice for them because I don't really love their chances in the next 3. No, now here's the good part about it. You get Indiana, Michigan, and Auburn, NC State, Indiana, Michigan, Auburn, K-State all in a row. You get to adjust to the bigger body, to the physicality, that entire thing. Then you jump back and do a Kennesaw State midweek bye game, that whole thing. And then you go into conference season. So maybe, when you roll around to Ohio State on January 2nd, you'll be a little bit more adjusted to what you're going to see on a nightly basis in the Big Ten. Right now, I just don't think Nebraska is really ready for any sort of physical challenge.
Probably not.
I'll go back to the Creighton game. And somebody asked, like, hey, Fred, what'd they do with Bryce McGowan? How'd they kind of take him away? And Fred was like, well, they were physical with him. And I was like, huh. And that's Creighton.
Creighton's not physical.
That's Creighton.
That was a couple weeks ago, but I don't recall them being particularly physical with them either.
They have a couple bigger bodies, normal sized people. And right. So that's a red flag.
You said you think this is like the easiest game that they have in this 4 or 5 game stretch.
Yes. 4 probably, because the K-State one's at home and they might be able to get that.
So in a 4-game stretch, what is the absolute most amount of games you could see them winning?
2.
Yeah, I could see them winning tonight in Indiana and then losing the other 2.
Yeah.
I for some strange reason see them having a better chance against Michigan than Indiana.
Michigan has struggled, but
Juwan Howard contract extension fade.
Are you going to fade?
Who got extended?
Well, Dave Clawson had a rumored extension. I don't think it's been announced.
Not until it's signed.
But then they beat Boston College.
No, I did the Mel Tucker one before
Mel Tucker
it was
didn't
signed.
sign his, and you faded him, and it worked.
Yeah, it's 4-0.
Well, but you didn't.
I did the James Franklin one.
Right. But if Dave Clawson was rumored, and then they beat Boston College, and that was before they played
I can only
Boston
do
College.
about what I know. I can only.
I can't.
But you
should
knew
I
that
send
Mel
every
Tucker-
extension to you?
No, but that would be the idea.
Mel Tucker and James Franklin signed their extensions the same week, though.
Right, but I knew about Mel's first. So then I
So it's
did.
just
I
the
did
knowledge
Mel,
of it.
and then I did James.
Okay.
Technically, you didn't do Mel. You had the idea for it, and then you did James.
Also, I would have bet against Mel anyway.
Right. You were betting on Purdue that day.
I was betting on
Ohio
Ohio
State. that day,
State, yeah. So we'll see who's next in the contract extension fade.
Is it different for
bonanza.
basketball? Is it like a whole
Well, Juwan Howard's in there.
like a month, or is it just one game?
I think it's the game immediately after for basketball. Yeah, as it is for football.
I didn't know for basketball because you play multiple games in a week possibly.
Well, Juwan Howard is on there because he signed a contract extension and then he immediately lost to Seton Hall.
Okay.
I just want to say quickly, and I don't want people to forget this. Go check out
people don't
Kenneth
forget.
Lofton Jr.
Chunk?
He looks like Bartolo Colon at 6'7" playing basketball.
Chunk
If
of the
that
year?
is not enough to get you,
You're the chunk?
this is the chunkiest chunk.
Year of the chunk has been dead for a while.
It's not the year of the chunk anymore, but I appreciate a chunk guy.
What is
still.
2022 going to be the year of?
I don't know, man. We haven't decided.
Yes, we'll see.
Eric and Lincoln said Happer said last night there was no way Ohio State would beat Duke. Then he predicts Nebraska would lose their next 4 games. Get ready for 4-0 December to start for Nebraska ball. Hey, look, I'd be happy to see it. If they went 4-0, I think the hype train would be off the rails totally, and I'd be very here for that. But I don't see it.
If Nebraska's 4-0 in this stretch,
Just as I did not see Ohio State coming back to beat Duke last night.
if Nebraska's 4-0 in this stretch, do they jump into the top 25?
Oh, yes.
He played for Team USA.
Show him the kid.
He
show
led
it to the
Team
camera.
USA.
Look. Oh yeah, you could see the outline of him kind of on the camera. What's his name? Kenneth Lofton Jr. Is he any relation to Kenny Lofton?
No idea.
Spelled differently?
No, it's spelled the same.
Lofton.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny Lofton was not big or tall.
Nope.
That means nothing.
I mean, it means something.
It means nothing.
I mean,
short people have big and tall children.
Yeah, but usually it's like this a similar
Direct
frame.
descendants, it's a little unusual.
Huh?
Like a direct child. Like
Usually it's a similar frame.
I'm guessing that KJ
Yeah.
is not going to be real big.
You don't know that. Look, Boban Marjanovich's parents are not 6 foot, and he's like 7'3".
Let's all watch Louisiana Tech basketball at my house one day for Kenny.
I'm in.
Kenny Lofton, not Kenny Lofton.
This guy was playing on the USA under-19 team. Like, he's legitimately very good. He just looks different.
Would you say Jokic-y in a way?
Yeah, but he's slimmed up a lot from that photo I just showed you. That was last year when he was the freshman of the year for Conference USA.
Do not forget about the Gus Bus.
I've already forgotten about the Gus Bus.
Never forget the Gus
remind you
Bus.
about the Gus Bus. Still a thing. Very important to us. All right. There's your Nebraska basketball preview. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to watch, and I'm going to be excited about the potential tonight, and then we'll kind of go from there. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Warm next.
Follow Connor and Mike on Twitter at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer. You're listening to Happer and Schaefer.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. State football wrapped up at Memorial Stadium on Tuesday. In Class A, it was a defensive battle as Gretna won the game over Omaha Westside with the Ticket's Connor Happer on the call. It was a 1-yard QB sneak from quarterback Zane Flores that led to the only touchdown in a win for Gretna over Omaha Westside 7-3. This would be Gretna's first state football title. In Class B, Bennington won over Aurora 42-14. In Class C1, Columbus Lakeview edged out Pierce 37-25. This would also be the first state football title for Columbus Lakeview. In Class C2, Archbishop Bergen won its first title in 42 years over Norfolk Catholic, 49-20. In Class D1, Howells Dodge coasted to a win over Cross County, 42-12. In Class D2, Kensaw beat Sandhills, 46-40. In recruiting, Gabe Hendricks from Elkhorn South has committed to Notre Dame to compete in cross country and track. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
The team that just won't quit
Together, 3, 1, 2, 3.
is about to play for the division lead.
Bridgewater leads the football to the pylon. Patrick is there. Cortland makes a leaping catch and into the end zone.
Sunday night, the Broncos battle the Chiefs for first place.
Touchdown, Denver.
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs kick off at 6:20. Pregame starts at 4 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and now I'm protecting it with the COVID vaccine. Everyone, even kids 5 years and older, can get the vaccine too. If you've been vaccinated, now you can get your booster shot if you qualify. Stay strong, get vaccinated, and learn more at healthylincoln.org.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you. Still nothing on the announcement front from really anybody. Still watching for assistant coaches, kind of in news. Anything about that? You assume we are in the neighborhood of it. And, of course, still waiting on one very important announcement from a Nebraska player.
Before we get there, I actually have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Was the Caleb Tanner tweet yesterday an announcement that he is back with Nebraska?
Oh, yes, I did see that. Yes.
So he didn't go through any of the senior day stuff. He has had 4 years in the program, so he, in theory, would be using his extra year if he wants it.
Or he could transfer theoretically.
Yeah. And so I took the tweet yesterday to sort of mean that he's coming back. Though Brunts asked me, and I think this is a good question for you as well. He had a bone emoji in there in the video of him committing to Nebraska. He retweeted the video of when he committed to Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there's a series of words in there.
It says
as well.
Bring this B word back again.
Which I just assume means he's coming back.
Yes.
But then the bone, do you think that's like a black shirt thing, but there's no really other emoji that would work there?
No, there is definitely an emoji that would work there. There is a skull and a crossbones.
Is there?
Yes.
Do I have that emoji?
But maybe it's just the one bone that maybe not a crossbones. Rico's gonna
Rico, our
emoji correspondent.
Portal and transfer correspondent.
But yeah, I assume that's what that means.
Yeah. All right. So we have one decision down. Here comes Rico.
Not that there was too much to worry about there.
No.
There is a skull, there is a bone, and there is a skull with crossbones behind it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I wonder why he chose the bone.
It's different.
Could be. I will say this for Caleb Tanner. I feel like he has played his best football in the month of November.
I do too.
And so getting him back is not something people should just kind of roll their eyes at.
No, I mean, look at really. Now, I think those inside linebackers probably slowed down a little bit as the
they did not, in my opinion, which is not a professional analyst of football opinion. But
you are a professional analyst of football.
I guess I am. Okay. Well, in my opinion, both Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich really kind of struggled at the end of the year. And a lot of that is they didn't have Damian Daniels in front of them. And I don't know with any level of confidence that they will in 2022 either. I think that is, for me, if Adrian is 1A of the biggest thing that you may have to replace, Damian Daniels might be 1B for me. I think it's such a crucial aspect of that 3-4 defense. And they were so bad in 2017 and 2018 when they didn't have someone there. Darian Daniels was fine.
Yeah.
And then 2020 and 2021, they've been so much better because of what Damian does in the middle there. And maybe Nash Hutmacher gets there. But I really felt like the inside linebacker play dropped off hard the last two games.
Well, I think so too. But you look at what you'll have returning just from a production standpoint. It's all those guys basically at the linebacker spot, plus more Will Honus if he's able to come back from his 14th ACL tear or whatever. Man, not to joke, it is his third, I think. So, you get him back as well. But Reimer, Henrich, Caleb Tanner, Garrett Nelson, all have been good at times for Nebraska. It's a good little linebacking core that they have mixed up there for next year. But then let's go to Adrian here real quick. We haven't heard anything on it yet. I think we discussed this a little bit last week. Maybe you hit reset at least a little bit on the thought of him automatically leaving at season's end with the injury that was thrown in there. He had surgery. It's a long-term thing. Going to be I mean, depending on the recovery time here, going to be at least bumping right up against a potential spring ball wherever he goes, or if it's here, potentially missing that entire thing, which seems like the more likely thing at this point. So maybe that resets. And now, we were on the sideline before the game, like, okay, when's the Adrian thing going to happen? And that was Friday, and it's Wednesday now. And not that there's an imminent clock counting down and we're getting close to zero here, but I do think it's an important step for Nebraska to kind of reveal their offensive plan and where they're headed here. So I think that happens potentially with an offensive coordinator hire announcement, something like that. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Does the fact that he was in a sling kind of going through senior day, his status could be in question for spring football. Like maybe there's just no rush for him to even make a decision. And so
theoretically he could stay through spring
right,
and leave next summer if he was going to leave. In theory, he could do that. In theory, he could also do this. And this is something we haven't quite tossed around a lot. In theory, he could stay through next season redshirt and then leave prior to the 2023 season or play at Nebraska again in 2023.
Yeah.
In theory, that could happen. Don't know why you would want to do that, but it's a fun little idea to throw around.
It is an idea.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah.
It's not likely.
I don't know why he would necessarily do that, but it is definitely something that he could do. And then, yesterday, I can't remember the name of the guy, but one of the big transfer portal additions yesterday was Fresno State's starting quarterback. And so obviously Adrian being from Fresno, that could be an opportunity. I know in the past when there was rumors that he might be leaving, some of the idea was he may just be going back closer to home. I don't know what program at that time was under consideration, but Fresno, which lost their coach, a very good coach, by the way.
Love Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
It's a pro Kalen DeBoer show.
I don't think he's going to get lost in sort of the whole thing of this cycle. I guess I'd be kind of surprised if that doesn't work pretty well for him at Washington.
Me too.
So
especially if he's bringing his pretty good quarterback with him.
Right. And so then, whoever Fresno ends up with as their coach, like that would sort of determine what if that's a real option for him. But there's so many kind of interesting things with Adrian where I think some of it is you kind of have to see, okay, who's all going to be in the portal? What would the options be? Where would I actually want to end up? Who's Nebraska's next offensive coordinator going to be? And then I think this isn't insignificant because Sam talked about it a little bit. And then when you asked Brunts about Logan Smothers and what it looked like on Friday, I don't think if you're Adrian, you can attach yourself to an offense that's going to ask for you to go through what you did in 2021 and 2020 and 2019 and 20. I just don't think his body can do it. I don't think Logan Smothers would survive 6 games.
No.
What they asked him to do.
Totally unsustainable. No.
That version of football.
I wouldn't expect that to be anywhere close to the plan.
I would hope not.
Even with what we've
because
seen,
then why did you go get Richard Torres if that's your offense?
I think that was a 1-game Band-Aid patchwork game plan.
Even Heinrich Harburg.
And it worked against Iowa.
Right.
I was fine with what they did on Friday. It's absolutely not going to be the answer.
I would be hesitant to say that it's not because we've seen quarterback carry numbers like that before with Scott Frost.
Yeah, not consistently though.
No,
it's not like they were trying to. On Friday they were trying to.
And some of that is they just didn't have a real running back situation outlined either. But the joke's there that they haven't for 4 years.
Also had that, yeah.
There's that. I find myself like if so Willie Korn's the name that gets bandied about a bunch right now.
Because his name is Korn.
I think that's not an insignificant part of it. I think people just like to say the name.
Oh man, I was talking. Look, the Korn part is interesting, but I'm more interested in the Willie part. Just like we need a bunch of Randys, we need some Willies too.
Was just thinking like you've got a little Rex Hudler in you that you really want things to end in Y.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's a baseball guy thing.
I don't know. But everything's Ersty, Gordy.
Yeah.
You know.
Gordy was weird. I never did Gordy.
Yeah, I don't. Most of it was weird, but
Willie?
you know my thoughts on it. So, but yeah, you really like the Y there. Anyways,
Sue me.
But that's kind of the offense that they run down at Coastal Carolina. And Richard Torres doesn't fit that.
No, he does not.
And honestly, Heinrich Harburg doesn't either.
No.
So if that's the direction you're going, and I'm not 100% convinced that it is, but if that is the direction you go, not only do you have to go into the portal for next year, you know, Logan Smothers is could fit that too a little bit. But you probably have to go find another high school quarterback or a junior college quarterback. And there's not a lot out there. There's just not.
I don't know. That's why like I said earlier, that's why we're kind of on pause right now. We're obviously looking forward to who they might hire and then the decisions that might be made based off of that. We don't know what direction they're going to take this thing. If they hire an offensive coordinator with the background of like you were outlining earlier, experience in all these different offenses and just experience in general, a little bit of an older guy, whatever it might be, then, you know, you look at that and say, all right, it's probably going to be what it has been, just a little bit more focused over the last, and that's good. I think that's honestly the best possible result out of all this. I'd be really surprised if they went with total overhaul, like we're going to turn ourselves into Iowa or whatever. Like they're I don't think they're going to do that. At least what we've heard from Frost. And I don't think that I would want them to do that. And then there's also like, can we patchwork together this 1 year plan where it kind of does look like it was Friday. And we kind of in a way run the option. You know what I mean?
That's what you would be.
You kind of in a way run the option.
Which would speak to some of the names that you've heard on the offensive line side of things too.
Yeah. Is that a patchwork plan that could scrounge you up maybe 6 wins next year? Yeah, it is. Do you want that? No, I don't.
I don't know that it's sustainable. So then it becomes,
you would need a couple quarterbacks who can do it.
Right.
And by the way, I think Logan is, if that's the offense and Logan wants to stay for that, he could do it.
Yeah.
But how long could he hang in there? And how much do they want to really dive into it? Like, is he going to throw 7 times a game or is he going to throw 18 times a game? Right. That type of thing. So
basically this whole segment is to say,
not the preferable plan.
This whole segment is to say that it is now Wednesday at 10:46 in the morning. And we really don't have any clear indication of what direction things might go.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a general idea of who the running backs coach and the wide receivers coach will be.
Yeah, is that odd to you that we seemingly know more about the position coaches than we do the OC when we always felt like
no, because I don't
first and go off of that?
I'm still not at the point where I expect that the offensive coordinator is going to be someone that Scott Frost hands the reins to. So, I mean, he's still hiring his staff for his offense. That's how I view it.
Yep.
But I could be wrong.
I think that a big hint, and as I've been saying, a big hint is how do they organize it?
Yep.
Right? If they hire an offensive coordinator / wide receivers coach and a running backs coach and an offensive line coach and no special teams coordinator and a quarterbacks coach, I'm going to be like, why'd we do this whole thing? Why did we just fire those guys?
Because this time it's going to work.
Right. So, that would be the sell. It would be a very tough sell for me to buy, I suppose. But if they reorganize it in a little bit of a different way, they bring in a special teams coordinator. It's the offensive coordinator's sole job to be the offensive coordinator. He's in charge of the offense, right? He calls plays. The wide receiver coach does the wide receiver coach stuff. That is a not necessarily a telling sign, but that's important to me and how they organize it. So we'll see what happens in that regard as well. We're not that close to it from what it seems like as of right now. All right, 402-464-5685, but who knows? We could have an answer by the end of the segment. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and round things out next.
More of Happer and Schaefer is coming your way on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers says let it snow because a white New Year's Eve could mean free jewelry. Shop from November 24th to December 24th, and if it snows 3 inches or more on New Year's Eve, your purchase is free. Holiday savings throughout the store. 36 months interest-free financing with approved credit. And remember, shop from November 24th to December 24th, and if it snows 3 inches or more on New Year's Eve, your purchase is free. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
The team that just won't quit
Together on 3, 1, 2, 3. Together.
is about to play for the division lead.
Bridgewater leads the football to the pylon. Patrick is there. Portland makes a leaping catch and into the end zone.
Sunday night, the Broncos battle the Chiefs for first place.
Touchdown, Denver!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs kick off at 6:20. Pregame starts at 4 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses, 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture, also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances, 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, rounding things out here on Happer Schaefer, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you, joined by Tom and Bach.
Yeah, Bach is out of the studio. He's doing something important.
That's okay.
Fashionably late.
It's okay.
How are you guys?
But we have Tom. We're good. Now we can grill you on your questions.
All right, grill me. Bring it.
How do you feel about Ron Brown as Nebraska's running backs coach?
I think he's I like the fact that he compares everything to somebody like, he reminds me of Moses, man. This guy can go through anything and still survive. I love, it's religious characters. It's great stuff. I think that he'd be good. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think it's going to happen. He gave my favorite analogy that I've ever had a coach give. We were talking to him about ball security. This would have been, I think, 2012, 2013. Nebraska, I think Amir Abdullah was having some issues. And he started talking about ball security in the sense that it's like he needs guys that carry the ball like they're in rush hour traffic. And he started talking about how Nebraska runs the ball like they're in Sunday traffic.
Right.
And it's leisurely and you can just kind of veer and do whatever you want. He's like, we need our guys like it's rush hour, bumper to bumper traffic. And it was great.
He was, obviously he was great with Amir. He had Amir and Rex, but I think a part of it was him. I think he's a really good running backs coach.
I think he is good at developing or working with already talented individuals. I have some hesitation, and given that this could just be a one-year thing, it's not the biggest deal in the world. His recruiting left a lot to be desired, specifically at the end. He's 65. He hasn't coached since 2017. And it's not that he can't physically do it. I mean, the guy could go run a marathon and do 7,000 push-ups, today and be fine. I don't know. I feel like Nebraska has to get more from their running backs.
Let me ask you
some way, somehow.
Because it feels like it's going to be Mickey Joseph, right? It feels like Mickey Joseph.
Those two feel like their names.
As the wide receiver coach, right?
Yeah.
And then if Ron Brown is your running backs coach, you still need an offensive coordinator. You need offensive line coach. So one of those guys is going to have to do both. Like your offensive coordinator is going to have to also be the offensive line coach if you're getting a special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
Well, what if you're not?
And if you don't, then this whole state burns.
Then we riot.
Well,
if they don't get a special teams coordinator, that's crazy if they don't.
I agree, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
They've at least got to pass the hand, like who's in charge of that, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose.
Not saying Dawson can't still help and like line them up and stuff, but just even for PR's sake, maybe
people have noticed that Dawson's a little MIA right now.
Right.
And I don't know what I don't know where he's at, but all the coaches are out recruiting.
Back to the NFL,
and nobody's seen Mike Dawson. So.
Nobody's seen him. I've seen him before. I wonder if that guy would have NFL aspirations once again. Because it feels like he's a guy that could get an NFL
if you
gig
could get in, you might as well. Yeah, I think that if you're going to end up with a special teams coach, it's probably because you reshuffle on the defensive end as well. I don't think they're going to sacrifice a spot on the offensive side for the sake of special.
The one that would make the most sense is you make Barrett Ruud just a linebackers coach.
Or Eric Shenander just takes on outside
Right.
linebacker responsibility in the same way that conceivably your offensive coordinator is either going to be the line coach or the quarterback coach.
So you guys don't anticipate a special teams coordinator?
Oh, I would love to have a special teams.
I would put it at about 55-45. I think it happens. But like I said, I do think that if it does happen, your defensive staff is different.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be because the numbers don't make sense. But if it doesn't happen, I don't know how you can sell that in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you really believe you don't need one, you need to get one just for PR's sake.
And I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have talked about this because this is my first day here,
welcome back.
But I would not think that Travis Fisher or Tony Tuioti are givens to be on next year's staff either.
I would agree.
Not because they aren't good, but because if you're Kalen DeBoer and you're going to Washington, Tony Tuioti would be a hell of a fit for you on that defensive line.
Yep.
if you're taking over the Oklahoma job or you're
LSU job.
wherever, Travis Fisher has turned down Florida
Yeah.
State, Ole Miss, rumored for Georgia, rumored for North Carolina, I think. I mean, so he's a commodity.
Is it a given Shenander's back?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's hard to say because you don't know how many blocks go. I don't know that he is someone that would be a group of 5 head coach yet. So then it would come down to would he want an
take a different
FCS
DC job
Yeah.
or
I
an
don't
FCS
think so.
head coach
I think his next thing will be a head coach. I mean, I don't think that he'll go be a defensive coordinator for someone else. I don't think that, but I don't know what.
Bach, you're silent. What do you make of all this stuff?
Well, I think it's exciting. It's fun. I am scared that they won't get a special teams coach. I mean, but again, I don't know if that completely matters. We get lost in that sometimes. You just need to be able to coach special teams one way or the other. Obviously, the Bruce Reed special teams coach experiment didn't work, so it doesn't necessarily translate to success.
And that shouldn't mean that Nebraska should be hesitant to do it.
Right. That's always the problem. Is if you have a little bit of a problem in the past with one example, you think everybody doesn't work that way, right?
Right.
But that's not the case.
And everybody says just get somebody good. I don't care if it's a splash hire. I think you need both. I think you need a little excitement in the offseason, like a Bob Diaco that's good. Like get somebody like Bob Diaco, but make them actually good.
I don't know if you need a splash.
Guys, this is an uphill battle, isn't it? I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about everybody wants something different.
It just seems like a lot to ask.
Yeah,
Like,
and then you need the transfer portal players.
Right. You got
I think that's the biggest key for me. And we were sitting here talking about having to replace stuff on defense. Like they had 7 guys get honors from the conference, and there's a chance that 6 of them are gone. And I don't think they have a ready-made replacement for Damian Daniels or JoJo Doman. And they don't have safeties. Like, and I don't say this to pick on him. Miles Farmer was really bad in November.
What's with Noah Pola Gates?
He's just not there.
I mean,
he's not at the point where they're comfortable
there was a lot of hype around him coming out of high school.
Four-star
A lot
kid.
of, yeah.
Alabama was interested.
Yeah.
Nebraska was interested. Arizona State, USC.
Need some guys going to be dipping into the transfer portal quite a bit.
They have to get a safety.
Yep.
There's a kid that just left from BC that I can't think of his name. It's like that kind of guy. He's like a Trey Neal. Like he's not someone that's going to go from here to probably playing in the NFL.
Isn't
But
that what all this is? It's unless you're
you
in
need a Byerson Cockrell, a Trey Neal.
Right.
Like
You're in a few
everyone
rare-
wants
you're
a
in some-
superstar,
You
and
could
you need
potentially
the
be in some rare situations where you take the best guy available because you have a connection or something like that who's a sophomore or whatever. But you're looking for a bunch of stopgap players.
So it's not realistic in your mind you're going to get another Deontay Williams.
Well, you could.
From the
you know.
JUCO ranks. I mean,
And there's a guy named Desmond Williams from East Central Community College in Mississippi that they're trying to get a midweek visit out of. But they're beating the bush and checking everything that they can find, but they don't have a lot to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that some of the guys that they're going to have visit don't have comparable offers with the name value that Nebraska has.
What about the name, image, and likeness thing? We can promise you $100,000 if you come here, or $50,000 if you come
everybody
here.
can do that.
Can they do that to the level that Nebraska does? I know it's a pretty good pool of money Nebraska's raised.
I think that's
Let me just ask this question. How much money do you think Adrian Martinez made off of NIL this year as the most notable player and the best player, or best in air quotes, on Nebraska's roster?
I'm guessing $100,000.
I think he made south of that.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
I'm not saying the money isn't there,
But especially for the other
NIL
players, it's not as
the NIL thing is overstated. It is.
At this point.
I mean,
well, I think every program can offer something to that level.
exactly.
too.
And it's always more of an important recruiting pitch or a pitch that hits home when you're winning football games. Like that's the best NIL pitch you have. Hey, if we're good, then you can get NIL deals.
Do they still have Tyshawn Lindsay's rapper studio set up? There's different things they can
do a
they can
little bit of
do.
that. Yeah.
Bach's not giving up.
It's
we gotta
oversold.
be creative here.
I remember I was talking to Will Bolt one day at one of those press conferences. I think it was the Alberts press conference, and I asked about a couple of the guys, and I was like, "Well, did NIL ever come up?" And he was like, "Oh, well, no, never have once mentioned that." And that's Will Bull. That's the guy who you want basically all of your athletic programs right now to kind of model off of.
Right.
Like he doesn't recruit to it.
He doesn't sell it.
He doesn't recruit.
And
to
Lance Harvell has told us the
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
that he doesn't sell it. And they don't have to. They don't really need to.
They have something that's theoretically good.
Something to sell.
Plus, they're a little bit old school.
Well, and then the other thing is you have to be careful because you can talk about it in the context that there's businesses that are involved. It's not like Nebraska's out here writing the check. So it's not like you can say things like, oh, yeah, you're going to get this money because it can't come from them.
Right.
It can't come from Nebraska. It has to come from outside businesses.
It's a weird space we're headed in college football. I mean, there have been teams that have benefited. You know, you get a Bryce Young who's $1 million man.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened with the grad transfers as much as I thought.
No, and I just don't think it's going to be as disruptive as everyone fears. I think that guys are going to make some money, but I just don't think like pick whoever you think the best player is in the portal right now. Let's say the Georgia Tech running back, because he was like number 3 in the country in rushing yards. I don't think that he's just going to get some $400,000 offer to go play at Michigan State to replace Kenneth Walker. It just doesn't strike me as likely.
But you already had an Ohio State quarterback that got $1 million, right?
Sure. But he was already committed to Ohio State before that ever happened.
And he may never play it down. I wonder if these things are renegotiated at some point, like saying companies might come in and say, well, you got to play eventually.
And was it $1 million over 4 years? Is $1 million? Like, we don't know what the structure of
it is. A lot of it.
Is it $1 million if you win a national title? Right. If you win the Davy O'Brien?
Right. I think a lot of that will be, down the road.
You make Jim Harbaugh cry at midfield.
That should be worth $1 million.
We're done for today. Tom and Bacher up next. Talk to you guys later.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticket.fm.